Across the UK, on DAB+, on YouTube, on your mobile, and on your side. This is Talk.
Hello, good morning. Happy Sunday, one and all. I hope you've had a lovely weekend. I hope the weekend has loveliness yet to come for you and yours. We are going to be rampaging through the news stories and the opinions of the week like a wildfire. Sorry if that triggers anybody out there. In fact, if you have had to evacuate your home due to a wildfire, I'm sure that is pretty terrifying. But lots going on this week, so there's lots to sink our teeth into. And as per usual, I'm joined by the one and only Paul Cox, who looks less ginger. No, looks more ginger when he takes his glasses off.
Hi.
I'm not. You look like someone else without glasses, and your hair's different. You've
I have
changed.
started sweeping. It's getting a bit longer, my hair, so I started sweeping it back.
You've changed. I don't know who you are.
I'm having a glow up.
I feel like with the heat in this studio, there's definitely going to be glowing up.
It is warm in here, actually, isn't it?
Oh my goodness!
I'm just in pants under this. Though,
I'm not sure if I'm having if I'm stuck in a fever dream, and I'm
with
not
me.
actually with you. Yeah.
I'm doing the same thing we would do on a Sunday anyway. Imagine if that was the dream.
I do feel a little bit discombobulated. You can hear the beginnings of some sort of
lurgy
lurgy taking in, and I feel quite spaced out and sort of a bit.
Have you taken like a day nurse or night nurse or something?
Taken what? Macadamias?
I said day nurse or night nurse.
See, I'm telling you, I've lost it today. But, you know, I haven't had... Oh, I love a bit of night nurse, but it's hard. You can't operate... I couldn't do night nurse and present.
No.
That would be
the first time I ever... Well, I haven't taken it very often, but it does, like, space you out.
It's really surprising when you get an infection in the summer. It's you feel sort of ambushed. You feel hijacked. In the winter, everyone's got it. Everyone's, you know, coughing and spluttering and going around looking like they death warmed up. And I've been in my, my garden, sunning myself, 37 degrees, Club Tropicana. And now I'm, like, hacking.
Non-consensual virus.
It's definitely a non-consensual... What a consensual virus.
I don't know. Please come.
I don't think I've ever had a consensual virus.
Just laid there and waited for it.
Oh, but no, I'm feeling quite under the weather, and it's so hot in this studio. I might not make it through.
Good news is I'm going to have it by Wednesday. It's worth it, though. It's worth it just to broadcast to the good people of Great Britain.
Yeah.
Hello, good morning.
Good morning.
And welcome.
Right, let's do our housekeeping, which is all of the numbers that you need to call if you want to get involved with the conversation, which is otherwise called Give Alex a Minute Off because her voice hurts. 0344 499 1000 is the number to do just that. It's your normal network rate. So, care in the community is free of charge. 87222 is the number to send a text message. If you're going to do that, write the word talk. Before you write your text, you can, of course, also leave us tidbits, jingles, limericks,
do the lot,
haikus, raps. We have not had a rap yet.
We've not had a rap yet.
I was trying to encourage musical instruments yesterday, and we did actually have a man, and he played a guitar and made a song.
Oh, they've been doing it for years. Honestly.
I want a sack butt, please.
Send us a manifesto as well. We've never had a manifesto sent
I don't think we need a manifesto.
No, I don't mean I'm in a political one. I don't mean.
I'm not some sort of prepper in a southern state of America. Like, calm down. I know things are bad in Britain, but we're not at that level yet. Right. Okay. But do send us entertaining things, because unfortunately, it's one of those Sundays. There's a bit of a problem when you present a Friday, Saturday, Sunday. When you sort of do during the week, you tend to get different stories every day because, well, people are at work, Parliament's sometimes there, things are happening. And then normally on a Saturday, sometimes you get a little bit of new information, you know, if something's gone on in the outside world. And come a Sunday, you're really sort of going, please, you know, let there be a really barnstorming exclusive on one of the newspaper front pages. And today it's like, oh, not really.
Turns out
it's just the same stories as the last 3 days, so we'll just have a bit of fun.
Although, to be fair, it's for our viewers and listeners, not having some tragic news is probably a welcome break. But for us, the more sensational, the better.
No, this is
Thanks to breaking news now.
That's just no. But no, this is a problem for us. If we don't have news, we've got to figure something else to talk about. Thank you, my darling.
I mean,
look at this. I've got 2 hot drinks. You've got none.
I did actually. In here, I do have the usual gin and tonic.
That doesn't have talk branding.
Oh, yes, sorry. Am I probably not allowed that? But I went and made it myself. We're very busy here. I don't know if you noticed, but Tech Hop was on the previous show.
I noticed that. I was sitting in the makeup room, and I looked up and I was like, now the world, every time we talk about Tech Hop, the world has seen his face.
I know.
It's almost, I kind of feel if I was a regular viewer of this, I'd be disappointed. It's like watching, not with the way Tech Hop looks, I'm so sorry.
Oh, my God.
I mean disappointed to know what you look like. It's because it's a bit like having the cameo of Maris in Frasier, where you hear Maris always spoken about, but you never see Maris, and that's part of the sort of
mystique.
The intrigue, the mystique.
Politique mystique.
Politique mystique. But now the world, you know, the cameras of the world have shone their light on Tech Hop's actual face. So there is no mystery anymore.
I'll be fighting him for the Waspies.
He'll be signing autographs next. I've got to ask you something. How many times did you have it the other night?
I had it 3 times, actually.
3?
Yes.
When did it start?
The first one was at 7,
right,
which is my usual time.
Where were you?
Well,
How's your usual time? We talk about the same thing.
Yeah, we are.
Right.
I just thought I'd check.
Should we tell the audience what we're talking about?
So we are talking about the emergency alert, essentially straight from Andy Burnham's phone by the looks of it. I run comedy clubs, epiccomedy.co.uk, why not? We don't host too many shows in August, but was hosting a show at a place, I'll say it, Leonardsley Lakes and Gardens near Horsham. It's a beautiful place.
There you go. If you want to go cancel something today, write down that address.
Yes. It went off at 7. The show started at 7:30, and so I was hosting the show, which meant I sort of went up and said, look, because people get so embarrassed in the comedy audience if their phone goes off accidentally. But on this occasion, it was just going off all the time. So it wasn't just 7 o'clock. There was one at 7:30. My own phone went off at 8:20 or something, all to tell us something we already know, Alex. Ridiculous. I just cannot get over what went through the mindset in the Crash of the North, because that's what they call number 10 of the North now, because it is just fuzzy felts, Comic Sans, and, you know... Glitter, isn't it? It's gel pens. Yeah. Let's get our gel pens and make a mood board. Yay! Let's cut out things in the newspaper, stick them up there. Yeah, anyway, I can't imagine the conversation. It's like, right, we've got this really new, brilliant early warning system that we can access any mobile phone, ping it and say, quick, you know, get into your non-existent Anderson shelters because the Russians are coming, which is what I would assume one uses an emergency alert for. And instead they just go, yeah, let's tell people not to have a barbecue. I'm like, are you kidding me? Have you covered?
Are you kidding me?
Did you cover yesterday what it meant for the emergency services across large swathes?
Didn't people start phoning 999 because of barbecues?
Totally inundated, ringing, because it was back to COVID times, wasn't it? This is what this does.
I was going to say that.
Jerry's having a barbecue next door again. He had one on Wednesday, and it's like, oh, here we go.
I mean, I can't fathom anymore where we've got to in the world. It is so crazy to me that the government is sending out emergency alarms to say don't have a barbecue. But also not crazy after you've got to walk in an anti-clockwise fashion around a pub, because that's how you stop a non-consensual virus. When did we become this? It's one thing that really irks me. So last time we were together, it was all about, you know, the build-up to Solar Wednesday, and I was so excited about it. And what was mad is the rest of Britain wasn't. Nobody cared. I was by myself in it being excited about it until it got to actual Wednesday morning, when all the televisions and newspapers were like, it's Solar Wednesday, there's going to be a solar eclipse. And so me, being uniquely excited about it, assumed it was like 1999, near peak civilization, and thought, right, that's it, I'm going to get up early, going to go out to my local newsagents, going to get up a copy of the Express or the Sun or whoever's got the free little glasses. No.
Not one of them.
Nobody. And then all of a sudden there was a run-on solar glasses. You know, there's like the news reports were queues everywhere of people trying to find these glasses. Well, back-to-back coverage of don't look directly at the sun. And you just think, what?
Well, because
in 1999, we got excited about this. Yeah. We were sort of, you know, making our pinhole cameras. The solar glasses were being given out weeks beforehand. And also, it was just assumed that being human beings with blink reflexes, we wouldn't blind ourselves by staring at something which we know hurts our eyes.
There's a very serious element to all of this, and a theme that's running through is being completely controlled by absolutely massive government. We've got a whole generation of people that are now adults that weren't around in 1999 and don't know what it's like to be an independent grown-up. So they go straight from their parents to the government. They're like, oh, I need someone else to look after me now, so they vote left and they get the government to look after them. And then you end up the situations we got this week where the emergency alert system, which we've only had for a year or whatever it is, 2 years, should be used. You know, when you see it go off, I didn't panic. I
didn't care.
But as soon as I saw it, I thought, well, there isn't going to be anything. And that's the trouble, because one day it will be like, the planet Zog has invaded, and you need to get into the special chambers that we've been made aware of, and I've not been made aware of because I've ignored everything. And there is going to be an incident, you know, where we're all going to go, well, it's just a government alert again, probably telling us to tie our shoelaces up.
There's going to be a moment. That's already passed. The moment's been and gone. As soon as the emergency alert went off, I was sitting in this hotel bar with a group of people having a chit-chat, and, you know, these emergency alarms started going off, and everyone just didn't care from the outset anyway. No one seemed to, you know, give a flying, because we all knew it wasn't going to be anything. And then already all the messages are going around how to turn the blimmin' thing off. Like, there you go, Andy Burnham, you failed your simple first task. And what did you do? You got excited, you pressed a big red button. You know, clearly not that big red button, thankfully. No. But you just stop it. Stop being so fast and loose with trying to govern things that we don't need governed. And how about get on with sorting out the things we do need sorting out?
No thought process. They didn't think beyond this will help us govern. They just think we need to govern, and we need to govern everything, and this will be another tool by which we can control and govern. They didn't think what the impact would be, that apathy would be for emergency alerts going off on everybody's phone, or that the fire brigade would be entirely inundated. So actually the emergency alerts probably
created emergencies,
and maybe even resulted in something much more tragic.
This is the thing about the Crash of the North. I feel like Andy Burnham's going to become a kid at Christmas. You know, wakes up on Christmas Day, runs downstairs, suddenly you've got all these toys to play with, you know, greedily unwraps the first thing and then sort of plays with it so hard, bashes it against the wall into smithereens, and is already in tears by 11 o'clock in the morning. That's what I feel he's done with the emergency alert system. He's like, oh, right, big important meeting. We have an emergency alert system. When are we going to use it? Wow, someone says, there's some wildfires. Perhaps it'd be a good idea to send out a message to people if there's a wildfire in their area and they've got to evacuate their homes because, you know, it's spreading really quickly, and you think, OK, like the Stourbridge or something, and you think, right, fair enough, people are in their homes, minding their own business, watching Cash in the Attic or something, get out your house, there's a wildfire coming. OK, that's how it begins. How did it end up with every single phone, not even synchronised, at random times, all across the country, being told not to have a barbecue? That is the mindset of these loons in the Crash of the North.
And it's because we're being run by... Do you remember that group of girls at school that you'd look at and you'd think, good Lord, this is not going to end well for humanity? You've got, like, Angela Rayner is on the vape. You've got Stella Creasy, who sounds anyone lost their parrot. You've got Samantha Niblet telling us we should have a summer of sex, but please, you know, don't identify the gender of the person you're having sex with, because that's rude. And you look around the classroom.
Don't forget the convicted fraudster Louise Haig, who, you know, 2 seconds ago had hair like she was in some sort of, you know, vintage retro fair, and is now running the country apparently.
But these are in serious positions. These people are not serious people, but are in serious positions within our government. And then you've got, you know, the mayor of the UK, as you say, who's built the creche up north, and has come down and said it's OK, Mummy's going to look after you. Turns out he's Mummy, and we're all in big trouble. Amen.
I like it. Right. Sorry, lurgy.
You have got lurgy?
I do. Genuine, you know, bona fide lurgy has taken root.
Unconsensual.
Unconsensual. Right, there's been some breaking news. It sounds like there's been a pretty horrific pile-up in County Kildare in Ireland. A number of people have died and others have been seriously injured in a crash on a motorway in County Kildare. That's according to Irish police. OK, let us do a few little massages now, shall we? Alex, from Smash the Boats to spread the fear. I think the ballot box is broken in the UK. The Titanic is heading for the iceberg and the captain is calling for more speed. People are on the brink, says John Roberts in Germany. Well, listen, John Roberts in Germany, don't think you're doing much better over there either. Just a thought. But it's true, isn't it? Because what is going on in the United Kingdom is also happening across the West in general.
Yes.
We've all gone collectively mad. I was speaking to Steve Gill, former White House advisor, about our emergency alarm because, you know, he's down in Nashville, you get hurricanes, all sorts of things. And he was like, oh no, because it's the same sound as well. We played it to him. He's like, oh, we have exactly the same sound for the alarm in America. And it's like, of course we do. But theirs goes off if someone's child's gone missing in a neighbouring state. And he's like, it goes off all the time. And I'm like, oh no, this is going to be our future. It's going to be like, anyone seen little, you know, Jacob? He was last seen in a, you know, checkout of Morrison's and his mum wants to know where he is. And all our phones are... I can't live with that.
There was a very sinister aspect to this. You create an environment of fear, and then you get the government to say it's OK, we're going to look after you. Don't worry about the fear, even though they're the one generating the fear.
Yeah.
And then everyone goes towards them and says, "What do I do now? Where do I get my next injection? Is it OK to have these genitals?" And we've just ended up in. Sorry, Alex. But this is what it feels like to me.
I know it does. It's going to be one of. I can tell already. It's going to be one of those programmes where I feel like slightly odd with unconsensual virus, and we've also got sort of thin pickings when it comes to new news. I can tell that you and I are going to be weird today. It's already started.
A splattering of weird.
Amanda has sent a message going, good morning, Alex. I'm convinced, and for some reason she's written your name in all capitals, I'm convinced Paul Cox has a little bit of a crush on you. He's looking much more spruced up recently and he's lost some weight. I told you. You look new to me today, Cox. I don't know who you are anymore.
I've had a glow up and I'm trying...
Are you evolving? Is this courtship?
Amanda, that's me who's written that, actually. It's just all part of my plan.
Oh.
And now I'm blushing. Why wouldn't I? Alex is beautiful.
Oh, I thank you.
And there's no controversy around Alex ever.
There's never any controversy around me. You're blushing because the heat in this blimmin' studio is off the charts.
Yeah, I'm now quite warm.
I think you've put that heat up. You're trying to make us all undress in this place. Right.
Chekhov especially.
Chekhov especially, indeed. Right, on that note, let's take a short break before we get too hot under the collar. If you want to join the conversation, my goodness, we need all of your help today. 03444 999 1000 is the number to call. You can also use that number to send me a WhatsApp message. Leave me a voice note on WhatsApp, a rap.
Yes.
And like I said, I'm a big call-out for musical instruments today.
Maybe, well, you could use it as, like, send us a plea for help. If you're trapped somewhere,
why
if you're
don't
hostage.
you make your own government emergency siren?
Tell us what we should be worried about.
Yeah. Right. OK, on that note, 8722, by the way, to send a text message right to the top before you text 03444 999 1000 is where you can give us all your little audio tidbits on WhatsApp. We're going to take a short break, hopefully somehow find some air conditioning, and we'll be back after this.
Talk app. You can watch, catch up and listen to all your favourite shows and podcasts anytime, anywhere, all on the Talk app. Watching and listening to Talk just got easier. There's now only one place for the home of common sense. So head over to your App Store or Google Play and search Talk now.
Across the UK, on DAB+, on YouTube, on your mobile, and on your side. This is Talk.
Alex Phillips, Foxy Coxy, yeah, on talkTV, yeah.
That was really good.
Oh my God, that was a beautiful voice.
It
Started off. It was like, okay, I'm getting into this, you know, Foxy Coxy. But there was a beautiful,
Hit a tune.
mellifluous
Yeah.
sort of tone in there. Yeah, it was like Dreamgirls.
It was.
Yeah.
Who was it?
Who was it? We don't know. We don't know, but it was. I loved every moment of it, can I just say. Betty says, morning, Alex, looking fabulous as always. Oh, don't you believe that? Sometimes I look far less than fabulous. Ab-fab, maybe, you know, after. No stress or anger today, just positive energy to all the viewers and the team at Talk. Nice coffee. Betty. There you go. So we're not going to be
Betty.
angry about things today. I'm not really sure what we'll do if we just sort of try and be happy. It's not easy when you work in news.
We can rant about being happy.
Shall we see how happy we can be about this? This is a really happy story. People smugglers from China importing their mega dinghies are now being investigated by the National Crime Agency. Well, what took you so long? After global investigations over mass shipments of equipment for small boat gangs were discovered at Felixstowe. I thought the plan was from about 2.5 years ago. No, hold on. 5, 10? Smash the gangs, stop the boats. And there's now a headline going that the National Crime Agency is going to investigate shipments of boats being used by people traffickers. OK.
And they're coming from our ports. That's what they're saying, aren't they? So we're manufacturing... That would suggest that we're manufacturing the boats.
No, the boats are being made in China.
The boats being made in China, getting sent to ports here?
No, so the boats get made in China and then they get sort of a convoluted route all through the stands.
Yeah.
Then they like bob into Bulgaria, which is how they first enter the EU. Then they bob out somewhere. Then they come back in. Then they're in Schengen, so they can just spread like a non-consensual virus.
Yep.
All the way over to Calais. And then, boop, boop, here they come.
And I mean, these things are huge, aren't they? And they hold like 250 people or whatever. It's not like you can't just put them in your backpack, take them down to the beach. So it's pretty obvious what you got.
It's so cynical, all of this, and it feels like
I mean, that
madness.
looks AI generated. It's not AI generated. It's mental. And there's one of them coming a day at the moment.
It's absolutely crazy.
Also, but I was talking. I can't remember. I was talking to. I think it was an American friend, and I was saying to him, I was saying, well, you know, how does this keep happening? I said, what's happened is, in a sort of Fabian-esque style, they've brought the baseline up to a few hundred a day. So you must accept a few hundred a day. That's the norm. And then anything above that's like extraordinary, maybe. And what happens is they say things like, well, it's down 3% since 2025, even though in 2025 60 billion asylum sneakers came across the channel. And now and by the way, we're down 40%, aren't we? But but on 2025 to 2026, the year comparison is down 40%. What no one mentions is that the influx into Europe is down 37%. So really, it's only down 3%.
I see.
So,
well, because they actually do normal things in Poland, like, you know, try and shoot people who break in. Yeah. Or they've started to turn boats around in the Mediterranean, you know, normal standard practices for defending your frontiers. But here we still labour under the concept that all these people are somehow sort of refugees with magic boats, that they're beatified as they cross the channel, they're pilgrims coming on a sacred mission to enhance our culture. And I don't know how much more I can talk about it.
For that, though, shouldn't they? Emergency alert every day to tell us that how many people have arrived on the shores of Dover. That's an emergency.
Exactly. No, this is an emergency.
So why aren't we being made aware of that? Why are we being propagandised to believe that the new norm is we have to accept a certain amount of illegals in, and please don't look at the crime statistics. Oh, by the way, we're not going to take any crime statistics, because if we did, that would really...
Also, we're not going to tell you where we put them. It's going to be Crouching Tiger, you know, hidden men of fighting age in your neighbourhood coming soon. It's just, I could almost play sort of small boat bingo now of the things I've said repeatedly. You know, so you could do a little sort of a system where is Alex going to point out that terror organisations are often behind this, making money from it and sneaking operatives in. Ding, ding. Oh, Alex is going to say that IRGC have just claimed that they've taken in, brought in operatives via the channel. Ding, ding. Oh, we know there's intelligence that drugs and weapons are also being smuggled in. You know, oh, look, they're going around, you know, attacking schoolgirls and committing rapes and, you know, then, oh, further down the line, people are having their organs harvested. You can keep talking about all these things, which are multiple reasons why this should have been stopped on day one, with seriousness, with gravity, with I don't care what international law says. Look, the Prime Minister's an international lawyer. He might know how to unpick some of that. I cannot fathom anymore what is going on, because, you know, we're building Chinese mega embassies and, you know, going over there going, oh, please, can you sort of, you know, deal with creating all of our critical infrastructure? How about you get involved with the phone network? Oh, I've got a really good idea. UK Border Force boats at sea, you're in the Royal Navy. Let's put cameras on those made in China that relays the footage all the way back to Beijing. I'm like, guys, China are not our friends. Let us not trust China. Guys, the people on the boats, they're not really refugees. Let us not trust them either. Yeah, just please, heaven forfend, I don't understand anymore. Because I was speaking to someone the other day and they said, of course the intelligence agencies have been saying to successive governments quite how perilous all of this stuff is. Yes. And our government's like... yeah, but it's not very nice, is it? Not like China. We've got to make a little fuzzy felt collage and think of how we're going to, you know, sit around and do all these wonderful socialist things with the help of some, you know, people over in Beijing. Stop it! I just don't understand why we have a government that thinks it knows best when it doesn't even know how to do key stage 2 blimmin' reading.
Again, my word of the day is going to be sinister. With one hand, they tell us they're helping us, and with the other hand, they're slapping us all the time. It's like they'll slap you around the face with this hand, and then with this hand, they'll put an arm around you saying, oh, someone slapped you around the face. And then they'll slap you around the face again, and then they'll cuddle you again. And it's the same people that are offering you help that are harming you. The government is harming us. They're not looking after us. The one job that they're supposed to do, which is actually quite straightforward, identify the risk, mitigate the risk. What they've done is identify the risk, monetise the risk, politicise the risk, get themselves voted in based on the risk, deny the risk.
But this is what I can't seem to wrap my head around. That a government that at one hand goes, see all these terrorist sleeper cells that are flooding into the country, don't worry about that. Don't have a barbecue though. I just can't handle this anymore. I think it's sending me mad.
And rightly so. And I'd love to hear from other people out there who are feeling the same way, because it can't just be us sitting here reading the papers every day, engaging with politics every day, that are really fed up with this. It must be... I can't imagine... Actually, also call in if you're loving every minute of this. If this is what you always wanted for your country, for your family... give us a call. Tell us all about it. Tell us why you would want this. Tell us what we're getting wrong.
I'd love to be someone who says, I love the asylum seekers, bring them unto me. Apparently there's been a poll, right, where is it? Where is it? To get my right piece of paper. Here we go. The survey Find Out Now has done a poll. 57% of voters say they don't want any more migrants in their area. Only 15% are happy with the idea. Who are these 15%?
Well, they'll be... So,
it's probably the migrants themselves.
So almost certainly they won't be people that... They'll either be people that politically want this, but are not actually harmed by it, or they're in areas which is already... They can't... They're so overwhelmed by it because they live in Tower Hamlets, for instance, that they don't see any different. And I think, well, why can't everybody live like this?
Or it's people who really are, you know, so much on the Kumbaya Kool-Aid that, you know, they still think these people
obviously
are...
there's
Did you see that footage after Ceuta? With the first wave, that wasn't it interesting yesterday when they all tried to rampage the border again? The Moroccan police like, no, It's like, oh yeah, could have done that from the beginning, couldn't
Yeah,
you?
of course could have.
That there was that image of that woman sitting on a beach, and she was basically sort of holding a sort of man from the Sahel skull and mopping him and licking his face and being like, oh, you poor thing. Do you know the image I mean? That woman who works for like Care for Cali or the Red Cross or something. And you just think, you kind of have to wonder about what goes on in some of those women's heads.
What you want to do is
weird.
take those women and the woman that was holding her phone up, waving them through. Come on through, lads, and put them in front of the rape victims that did happen in Thueta later that week. There were a number, anecdotally, allegedly, or whatever we need to do to keep Dave happy out there. Is
Dave compliance, Dave? Now he's taken on new roles.
There were rapes, there were sexual assaults, and you can see it. Of course, it happened. Of course, it happened. What do men want to do? Particularly when they're of a certain age, they're programmed, particularly of a certain culture.
I don't know. Tell me. I don't know. It's 10:30 in the morning. I've never had this explained to me. So please fill us in graphic detail.
Well, it's culturally. I won't. By the way, just in case you're worried.
I love the fact that Chris in the gallery is like, no. It's like, come on, Chris.
Of all the people to ask me.
Did you lose your sense of humour this morning,
Get
Matty?
my whiteboard out. Start throwing stick men. Transgender ones.
Men. Actually, we do need re-education in that department as well, don't we? Let's do a few more messages. So apparently, Jason in Keswick says Tech Op was unmasked years ago on Peter Cardwell's show. He's well known to us veterans of talk.
Oh, really?
Yeah. I didn't realise that the unmasking of Tech Op had already taken place. Morning, Alex. The problem with Power Trip Burnham using the national emergency alert to tell people not to buy portable barbecues, and in so doing completely undermine the whole idea of it. Unbelievable. Very believable. That's the point. It became very believable after COVID that something really weird is going on here, where actual crises they seem to be encouraging, willing into existence, exacerbating, inviting, choreographing, and things that really are just normal life and keep the heck out of it. They're like, absolutely not. Digital ID, facial surveillance, emergency alarms, walk in this direction, 15-minute cities, 20-mile-per-hour zones spread across the whole country. I mean,
that's mental.
I've heard my mad local council, Lib Dems obviously, like, we need to make all country roads 20 miles per hour. I'm like, tractors go faster than that, for crying out loud. What are you doing?
And people won't stick to it. People won't stick to it.
People will, though. That's the annoying thing. It only takes one person to stick to it, and we all have to stick to it. Yeah. That's the problem. And I just think, at the moment, when you live in the countryside, getting from, my house to the station is about 10 minutes by car. If I were to have to walk it, it would be about 2 hours. Because guess what? Country roads, zip, 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 zip. It's like someone lives 2 villages down. It's like, yeah, want to come and hang out? 5 minutes drive. If I had to walk to their house, well, no, because I'll see you next week. If you suddenly turn those roads into 20-mile-per-hour zones, it will be like being in lockdown. You just won't be able to get anything done or go anywhere. Why are they obsessed with 20 miles per hour? There's nothing on those roads apart from the occasional bit of roadkill.
Well, I can tell you why they do it in London, because I worked on this for many years, and I'm not exposing anything that people don't already know, but they don't want people to drive cars. So I've definitely been sat in meetings in TfL where we've pointed out that the modelling has shown if you slow the traffic down or you create more traffic in one area, it will just be an absolute clog fest. And the answer is we don't care. The more people that detest driving and the more people that find it difficult to drive, the better. They simply don't want it. Now, the motives for not wanting that sometimes are quite honourable in terms of safety or pollution or whatever, but sometimes they're dishonourable as well. They're about making sure you can control certain parts of society, or that you don't want people to travel far. And it comes back to like 15-minute cities, etc. This thing it's not conspiracy. This is all going on, and it all depends on the political bent of your local council. So, for instance, in London, it's quite easy to roll these things out. But there were, for instance, boroughs that didn't play ball at all. Interestingly, Tower Hamlets didn't play ball. They just said, we are not working with TfL, and they didn't roll out things.
I've heard things about Tower Hamlets today. Did you know Tower Hamlets want to do their own version of council tax, where basically the more money you earn, the more council tax you pay? So sort of mix it with income tax and graduate it. I'm like, blimmin' crazy socialists over there. Right, OK, let's take another break, and we'd love you to get involved with the conversation today. 03444 991 is the number to call. You can also send us stuff on WhatsApp, stuff in general. I really want something really fun and creative today. I'm in that sort of mood. Yeah. 8722 is the number to send us a text message. Write the word talk before you send your text. And Debbie says, thanks to you, Alex. I got straight online to order my solar glasses, but I did hear them saying if you have old ones, they won't work. Surely if people weren't blinded in 1999, the glasses worked. Was it a different sun? See, I trusted in Britain too much. When I told everyone to get ready for Solar Wednesday, I didn't prep myself for it because I just assumed, stupidly, that there would be a little bit more organisation. I don't understand. I mean, look, it's in the same building, and we love you, you know, News UK, but I don't understand how a newspaper called The Sun didn't take the opportunity to sell, you know, loads and loads of copies by having solar glasses.
Well, they were kind of they had their nose put out of joint, The Sun. If you bought the Moon...
Oh, I see.
Then you did get the guy, because the Moon were very happy, because it's the Moon you could see.
Yeah, the Moon.
I mean, Murdoch won't tell you this, he'll deny it's true, but that's why the Sun didn't have the glasses, Alex.
I see. I thought it might be Moon propaganda. Right, OK, we're taking a short break. Don't go anywhere. Back after this.
Across the UK, on DAB+, on YouTube, on your mobile, and on your side. This is Talk.
Right, should we talk about water?
Yeah, why not?
Yeah, I mean, we all need it. We know we do. Vital part of being alive.
Yeah.
You know, don't look directly at the sun. Drink. And because basically, when it comes to the state of water in this country, it's just a screaming mess. We haven't built any new reservoirs, pipes are leaking everywhere, sewage is being pumped out into rivers, while, as we all know, the big executives and shareholders are lining their pockets with our cash. That not being enough, water companies are going to be able to charge us higher prices during droughts, under plans being considered by Ofwat. I'm sorry, it's like... Your job as a water company is to use the money you charge us to build reservoirs so we don't have droughts. You can't not do that stuff. Pay your shareholders billions and billions, you know, give your boss a bonus of, you know, 400 million quid for not doing the job well, and then come to us and go, wow, we didn't get round to making those reservoirs, so we're going to have to charge you more.
There's only one reservoir I'm aware of that's under construction right now, and it won't be built till about 2029, 2030. It's a place called Havant Thicket in Hampshire, which is not too far from me, and it's part of Southern Water, and actually the sort of Southern Hampshire area is pretty well blessed because all the water runs off of the South Downs towards that area, so they've got plenty of water. So most of the water in that reservoir will be pumped to places that don't have it, probably out into Thames Water and places like that. But I don't think it's any conspiracy to say that since the privatisation of water, there hasn't been any reservoirs built.
There's been no investment
because
there's just been people making loads of cash money from not spending it properly.
If you can do this, if you can charge surge pricing, like you're trying to get tickets for, you know, Oasis, because
I like that, water themed.
Yeah, exactly.
You are basically trying to get tickets for an Oasis, aren't you?
We should be. It's like the same. Like I always say, you shouldn't be able to strike if you're a doctor or a nurse. You shouldn't be able to charge surge pricing on, services that we need.
But yeah, it's mad. It's absolutely crazy, and I just. But although at the same time, I also think the idea of bringing it all back under state control to the tune of £148 billion, I think it is, just to get Thames Water sorted out. Looking at the NHS, you just think, government ain't going to be able to do much better than the private sector. But it is an absolute mess. Oh, I've got an interesting water-related talking point, which is perfect for a Sunday morning show at 11:15.
Yes.
So when I've spent time with French friends down in the south of France, where they love a bit of water shortage and hosepipe bans and all of that, they do drought well. They have this thing, I think a lot of French families do this, where you don't flush the toilet during the night, ever, because you preserve water. And I don't think I like that.
No, the British sensibilities would not be keen on being greeted with that first thing in the morning.
I think my brother's a bit of a don't flush the toilet at night monger.
But so hang on, you're
But
just
I think
delaying
it's
the
easy to not wake
inevitable,
people
aren't you?
up. But I just always flush the toilet. Water shortages, hosepipe bans, just always flush the toilet.
But you're not. What are you? You're not actually saving anything there, because you've got to flush it at some point. I can understand if you never flush the toilet.
Well, yeah, but I suppose if you have layer upon layer of stuff, and then you flush. But
No, what do you want? No one wants that, do they?
Nobody wants that.
Like
but there will be
tray
people.
full of excrement.
There'll be somebody listening in the audience who is a non-flusher, a sort of save it up and then flush, because they exist. I once read, this is really...
Please call in. Send us photos.
I once read a poll somewhere, this really freaked me out, changed my life forever, that 2/3 of people wee in the swimming pool.
What, when public swimming pools?
Yeah. Can't get in a swimming pool now.
I don't think I've ever done that.
I think, no, what? Well, who are the people that do?
I've definitely taken a wee in the sea.
And in a similar poll, it was some sort of horrible statistics, like 75% of people wee in the shower. I'm like, who are these people? There's a toilet next to the shower.
Have you never had a wee in the shower, Alex?
No!
No, I haven't
You are,
either.
aren't you? Oh, mate, I see it in your eyes.
It's a bit easier for me, it's...
No, you don't...
I definitely have. I've never taken a wee, but that's in the privacy of my own wee shower.
What? I didn't know these people, because I was like, who are these?
72% of them. There's definitely people out there. I assume the ratio is heavy on men.
I don't know, but I just don't understand why.
But
normally there is a toilet in the same room as the shower, and the shower is where you make yourself clean, so why just use the toilet? Don't be gross.
It's great logic, but you're all slip sliding out of the bath and into the shower, get out of the shower. Have you ever tried to sit on a loo when you're covered in...
I've got the capacity to, I don't know, I've got, first of all, the logic to go to the toilet first while I've turned the shower on. Although, I do like flushing the toilet, so maybe I'll wait to turn the flower on, because you don't want to mess with the water temperature.
I've taken a wee, not flushed, got into the shower, and flushed afterwards, because what I don't want to do is disturb the flowage.
Mess the water, yeah.
You cannot disturb the flowage.
But I don't understand people who seem to have the bladder capacity of a gnat, that they get in the shower and immediately need the toilet and cannot go and use the... No,
I save it up. I love a relaxing wee in the shower.
Oh, dear. Oh, well, there you go. If Amanda thought that you and I were onto something good...
We're not now.
It's done. It's over.
You've never allowed a shower at your house.
No.
I wouldn't take a wee in your shower. I've got a special shower.
Well, thank you, because you were invited to Solar Wednesday. Now I'm rescinding all open invitations to the West Country because of, shower revelations. Let's do a few messages. We'll take a break before we move on to that particular topic. The government spent over £25 million to get to the point of inconveniencing thousands of people by warning us not to use a disposable barbecue in selected areas of fire risk during a hot summer. That £25 million would have been best spent in primary school education. This is the crazy thing. I mean, did it cost £25 million to send that alert, or is it just £25 million to set up the system? One assumes it's to set up the system.
Well, I hope it wasn't to send that alert out, because that would be an absolute political disaster.
We also know it's done and gone now, because no one trusts that alert anymore.
But you cannot set a system up like that and say this is a very important government messaging system that you must always pay attention to, and then send a message out like that and expect anybody to take you seriously after that. Because you're only preaching to your converted then. You're only preaching to the people that are totally in the behest of your spell, and the spell being, we are the government, we are looking after you. The rest of us who go, you're looking after me. I don't think so, mate. And then they send out a message like that. We're like, no, I'm sorry, I don't care what comes through. You're going to put it to one. So next time it goes off, it's going to be, I ain't got time for that.
Exactly. You know, it's actually going to be a situation where, you know, Satan 2, which is Putin's favourite missile, you know, aimed at Britain, is making its way over from Moscow, and we get the and everyone's like, oh, here we go. What have I done now? Accidentally glimpsed the sun, you know. I can't with this stupid country. Nobody has reported about teenagers and youngsters' phones receiving the emergency alert again. Did the alarms get sent to youngsters' phones or people above a particular age? Wondering how much the government know about us if the alarms were filtered according... Were they filtered according to age?
No, I think
was it sort of like young people didn't get the message?
I've got a daughter that's 17, so she's effectively a child. I didn't ask her if she got it, actually.
I now need to know, did young people get the barbecue message? Because also, if they didn't, it turns out that all the wildfires in the West Midlands were set by, oh, that's right, young people. You know, kids celebrating their A-level results, going, it's a hot day, let's go have a barbecue in the park. Yes. There we are. When I heard the emergency alert, I honestly thought we had been invaded by the Daleks, and they were really, really angry, says Clive in Worcester. Exterminate, exterminate. It does have that tone to it, doesn't it?
It does have that tone to it.
It is Dalek-y.
It is alarming, and you know, we should have these things. By the way, if you want to communicate, there are other ways of broadcasting when it's a severity of that level, which is very low severity. You can put out press releases, you can mandatorily write in every single newspaper and just say, look, you know, we've got exceptionally warm times. Things are dried out. We haven't done anything to prevent fire, by the way. We've removed all investment, so we're going to need your help here. That can go out, and you will still reach 70 to 90% of the people of the UK. And you didn't reach everyone. Ben Habib was on Peter Cardwell's show earlier saying he never received the message.
No, didn't. Was he? Because I spoke to Ben Habib yesterday.
I know, maybe it's yours. I was watching some clips from your show on my way in.
I don't.
Yes,
I haven't done the audit of my friends and who got the message and who didn't. But yeah, I did tell Ben he's got to stop messing about with that tandoor oven of his.
Yes, I watched that clip, yeah.
But this is an interesting talking point, actually. Unfortunately, we do have stupid people around who do not act in what we would assume is common sense. I understood it was the fire department that suggested the alarm. There's a TikTok thing where kids are being challenged to start as many fires as possible. Just maybe it might alert their parents to keep a closer eye on them. You may think the alarm was a good thing if you were in the position of watching your house burn down. Well, that's the thing. If it was a case of evacuate your home, there's a wildfire nearby, I'd get it. But what is interesting about that from Julie is, and I've said this a long time, again, it comes back to China. TikTok, China's platform, which is basically one giant psyop. You know, there is no surprise that the Chinese are making mega dinghies and people traffickers are using, essentially, Chinese social media to advertise their wares. And there are all these little things like, oh, you know, have you ever thought you're born in the wrong body? Fancy gender mutilation? Oh, that gets spread around TikTok as well. And now we're hearing that things being spread on TikTok are, you know, why don't you go and see if you can start a fire? Guess what? It might just all be connected.
Yes.
And that we can't trust China.
No, well, we can't trust our government, unfortunately. We seriously can't. Tell me about any of the situation that's going on now that says we can trust any government we've seen for a very long time. There is no government we have seen, particularly this government. It wants even bigger government. The answer is not socialism to this. The answer is teaching people to be resilient, teaching people that they can be individuals and they can look after themselves and they can think for themselves. This whole idea of brothers keepers gone, where you do keep an eye on your neighbour, you do keep an eye out for one another. Basically, now we've said we don't look after ourselves, we therefore don't look after our neighbours, the government will do it for us.
I just feel like I'm getting to the stage where I would just want to throw all technology in the bin and set up a pan-Socratic prepping society on the banks of the River Wye. Fancy it?
Yeah, let's do it.
Let's do it. All right, so we're going to be taking a short break while we plan what we're going to do, where we're going to live, how we're going to build our mud huts and how we're going to shield ourselves from all government interference. If you want to get in touch with us, 03444 999 1000 is the number to call. You can send us a WhatsApp on that message or leave us some fun little audio trinket. 87222 is the number if you'd rather send a text message. If you're going to do that, write the word talk before you send your message. We're back after this.
the Talk app. You can watch, catch up and listen to all your favourite shows and podcasts anytime, anywhere, all on the Talk app. Watching and listening to Talk just got easier. There's now only one place for the home of common sense. So head over to your App Store or Google Play and search Talk now.
Across the UK, on DAB+, on YouTube, on your mobile, and on your side. This is Talk.
Hello and welcome back to the show. Let's do some messages, and I think we might have some calls knocking about as well. Oh no, I've pressed the wrong button on my screen. Oh well, I can't do messages. I've pressed the wrong things. Done. Blown myself up. Let's talk about reform. Seriously, there are too many windows open here, and every now and then I press something and it's like, oh no, that wasn't right, and then that's it, I'm lost.
Every presenter uses the same screen as well, which means, do you all have different ways you like the screen set up?
No, it's always sort of set up Come on, Chris, can you press the buttons to make the messages come back up? You know what I'm like. Yeah, but which one is it? Anyway, Reform are going to be unveiling a plan to cut $50 billion a year in welfare, and that plan is going to be coming out tomorrow. But Robert Jenrick, thank you, Ratty. Robert Jenrick has already done a little pre-piece with the Telegraph talking about what they are going to essentially do, which would be abolishing PIP and the health element of universal credit for working age adults as a part of a package of reforms that would remove or cut benefits for 2.89 million people. PIP would then be replaced with a health security allowance for severe and enduring disability cases. There will be a lot of people out here who'll throw their hands in the air and go, heaven forfend, this isn't right, I'm going to lose all my financial support and so on and so forth. But at the same time, what we know is that welfare is totally unsustainable, and without that, there are people getting, I mean, the worst one is like Motability, you know, you got constipation, have a free car. Absolutely crazy. But there are people getting just handouts of money, more than those who are working, whose health condition is, oh, I had a bad dream last night.
Yes, if you got money for that, I'd be loaded. But look, I was just trying to look at the numbers there. You were saying 3 million people are receiving £50 billion. I haven't done the maths yet. I'll do that at some point. But that's a very interesting mathematical equation, because there's a lot of money being spent there.
There's a lot. I can't do
Of course, our overall welfare budget at the moment is 330 billion, so that will take it down to 280 billion. That's still 280 billion pounds worth of welfare that's going to go out to people, which means that, and by the way, our tax receipts are only 330 billion as well, so there's not much there. So you'd be essentially you would be giving 50 billion back into the coffers, so that would be great. But 50 billion these days doesn't go too far. Probably just stretches to 3 more emergency alerts.
There you are, exactly.
I think optically that's great. It's fantastic. They've shown they're working, which is great.
Well, it looks like it's going to be an extremely detailed document, 50 pages worth of it. They've gone over and looked at the Dutch system, where they have completely remodelled the way they do welfare, and as a result, disability benefits applications fell by 40%. They're going to look at children's benefits and pledge to reform children's disability allowance for anxiety, depression and ADHD to align it with the adult system. I mean, the way that the Telegraph speaks about this is essentially Kemi Badenoch came out and said to Reform, you're woke. And Reform said, no, we're not. We are going to manage the economy and cut welfare. But yeah, the welfare bill for this year is set to hit 333 billion. I mean, that is absolutely eye-watering.
That's incredible. And that's a reoccurring cost year on year, by the way, which will go up with inflation. So it might hit £333 billion in 2026. What's it going to be next year? 340, 350? The tax receipts, however, are slightly less. So 333 versus 330, that's a £3 billion shortfall. That's incredible. Year on year, that's going to get exponentially bigger as well, because if you've got so many people on benefits, then those people aren't going to come off of benefits and start putting into the tax system. So you've got this, you know, I'm not an economist, but this is very straightforward stuff. You've got basically a whole bunch of people relying on the welfare system. Why would they change their ways? They're not being encouraged to change their ways. Work doesn't pay for them because you go into work, of course. Businesses are seen as evil. Billionaires are seen as evil. All the work generators are evil. Therefore, what are you going to do? You're just going to end up sitting on the payroll of the government. And who's going to do that? The people that are coming in, the people that have historically, inherently not wanted to work. Now, that doesn't mean, by the way, and then we'll have plenty of viewers and listeners out there that will absolutely need their benefit
exactly.
payment.
And I hate it when people with genuine need are frightened about things like this, because the system should be set up that those who are in genuine need get everything they possibly can in order to live with dignity and in comfort. But I'm sorry, the idea that you can say, I've got anxiety and therefore I need money, having extra money doesn't change your anxiety. The Telegraph has gone to the Conservatives to get their response in this. And do you want to know what the Shadow Secretary of State for Work and Pensions said in reaction to
I would love to know. They've probably poo-pooed it entirely.
She just said it was a half-baked attempt to distract from Farage's fishy $5 million.
Oh, for the love of Mary.
Can we just... I don't want to hear about that $5 million anymore. I'm bored of the $5 million. He got $5 million. We know. He didn't declare it. We know. He says he didn't need to declare it because we'll say if it was a gift from friends or family, you don't need to declare it, and he didn't. We know. And yet everyone's running around going, what was it for? What was it for? And it's like, security. Just... This revolving debate is tedious. I don't care if... And I don't care who... As long as you're a competent Prime Minister, you know... Get as much money as you like, son. Just run the country properly.
Sometime in the next 12 months, we're going to very quickly become acutely aware that the money that's going, that gift going towards security is much needed. It is absolutely needed because, you know, the government are not taking Farage's security seriously. He has to.
This screen still ain't right, son. Still not OK. I'm looking at it thinking, we got to sort that out. Right, OK, we're going to do that during the advert break. Don't you worry, we are going to be back straight after this with guests and news and views and all sorts of tantalising things to keep you entertained for the next couple of hours. In fact, we're going to be joined by Sean Matthews, who's the leader of Lincolnshire Council, to speak all things reform just after this. See you in a moment.
across the UK. On DAB+, on YouTube, on your mobile, and on your side. This is Talk.
Hello and welcome back to the show. I am flagging, Coxie. Honestly, we might have to switch. Seats.
No worries. You do have the. You have the virus. What virus is it? Perhaps there'll be alert about it later on.
Oh yeah, I think there should be.
Phillips.
I don't know what it is yet. I haven't really sort of figured out its full complexion. It's sort of standard scratchy throat, bit of dizziness, tired, bunged up. Yeah, hot, but I don't know if that's the studio. It could be anything from like a COVID to a flu to a tonsillitis.
Ooh.
Yeah. Which could be, you know, is it corona, influenza, or bacteria? I don't know.
Who knows?
Who knows?
Call in.
Call in. You're a doctor. Come and diagnose me. All I know is it wants me to go to bed with some paracetamol. It is desperate for me not to be sitting in this seat anyway, but I'm not going to give in to it. Not yet. We're going to battle on for another 2 hours. And then I'm going to live my life with little vitamin C sachets. I love those. What do you do when you get sick? What's your sick routine?
First thing first is I make people aware that I'm terribly unwell and they can possibly cope with the sort of illness I've got.
Yeah, true.
That's definitely what I need to do as a bloke. But my bed is where I go. Bed is the solution to almost everything.
Is it the solution to the small boats crisis?
Yeah, well, the government have certainly got into bed with them, so...
Hey, love what you did there. Right, let's do a few messages. I've just learned, looking at the screen going, something's gone on here. This setup is not how it used to be.
Well...
I've just learned that, you know, the nanny state is now taken root in Talk Towers, because once upon a time with my little messaging screen here, you used to be able to click on WhatsApps and all the WhatsApps would come up. SMS and the SMS would come up, or there was a little icon of like a, you know, human. I don't know why that's human.
Hello.
And I'd click on that, and that would be a special message area where the producer has gone through and filtered the messages and decided the ones that perhaps you should look at. And so I'd normally just live in the human bin. But every now and then I'd go in the other bins, and I like having the other bins because I don't always think my producers are that good, if I'm honest. I'm joking, Chris.
But they've
taken away any ability for me to see all the messages. They're now entirely filtered before they even get in front of my eyes.
This is a worry. This is sinister. It is sinister. It's hashtag sinister.
Ernie has said, "Hi, Alex. I panicked the last time I heard that sound was visiting my daughter in Abu Dhabi. And when you heard that noise, it meant there were ballistic missiles and drones flying overhead. And to get in the basement, it was terrifying, especially for children. Problem is, I think thousands are going to turn it off now. Well, obviously.
Can you, by the way?
Yeah, apparently you go into settings, emergency...
Just turn off your emergency settings.
Yeah.
That's mad.
Just ghost the government.
Yeah, well... Yeah.
I'd love to ghost the government. I'd love that.
Put them in archive.
Good morning, Alex. I'd like to know what has happened to make politicians over the last 30 to 40 years detest our country. Yeah, me too. I've got a way to cure the migrant crisis. Everybody buy a potbelly pig, and I guarantee all the Arabic nations will go home and it'll stop the migrants.
Interesting.
Interesting approach. Just sort of what a force field of... Why pot-bellied pigs? What's wrong with the Gloucester Old Spots?
Yeah, well, that's a good point.
Or a Tamworth?
Yeah, a Tamworth. Oh, delicious. I mean, cute.
So why... Well, micro pig. Do you remember when everyone went mad and wanted to buy micro pigs? And then people realised that they were just baby pigs and they grew up.
Can you imagine? This micro pigs getting massive.
That mad trend. That was those were the days.
Life
was simpler then, when your biggest problem was your micro pig becoming non-micro,
Did you ever
becoming a macro
contemplate
pig.
getting yourself a micro pig?
Never.
Alex?
No, I didn't really see the point of it.
Well, what did you expect to happen? Not you personally, the metaphorical you, the people out there.
I think they expected them to just stay tiny pigs.
They got a 2-bedroom flat in a block in Tower Hamlets, and they thought, do you know what I need in here? Bloody great pig.
Micro pig, microchips, things that, you know, just lived in the 90s.
Do you remember microchips?
Well, yeah, I just said the word microchips. One would assume that meant I remembered them.
Yeah, but I was thinking of computer chips. I'm thinking of the
I think they're the boxes,
microchips.
McCain microchips. That's what I was thinking
the soggiest, worst chips
Do you
ever.
want a fun McCain fact?
Yeah. But
So, when I did a little tour of France a couple of years ago and went to the Champagne region, and you see, and it's kind of ugly, to be fair. The Champagne region is not really worth visiting. It's kind of minging, very industrial. But it's obviously surrounded by lots and lots of vineyards, but also loads and loads of potato fields. And as you go around the vineyards, it's like Tattanger and Ruinart, and, you know, they're like, these are our grapes. You get away from them. And then in between, it's like, McCain's. And I'm like, who knew that microchips came from the same place as, you know,
why they should
a
can't
good
they call
Blanc
them
de Blanc.
champagne chips?
Champagne chips. I know.
That was
What
that
great
would have
marketing.
made my
No,
student
but they
meals.
do the adverts that make you think they're all being dug up in Cornwall. No, they're not.
No.
Right.
Big potato
Let us talk about
taking over.
the march of the potatoes. Let us now talk to Councillor Sean Matthews, leader of Lincolnshire Council for Reform UK. Good morning, Sean. How are you doing?
Very good, thank you. How do I follow that? You know, micro pigs, tattiger, well pronounced, by the way, for the tattiger.
Thank you. I'm actually a fluent French speaker, you'll be pleased to know. Maybe we'll do the rest of the show in French and see how the audience figures go. I'd imagine not well. Let us talk, though, how the audience are going to feel tomorrow when Reform actually unveils their 50-page document detailing how they're going to drastically slash the welfare bill. Now, I think a lot of people listening to that would say, yes, fair enough, some good things in there, but I would also say those people who had been paying attention might be somewhat persuaded by the Conservative argument, which is, well, a few minutes ago, Nigel Farage was talking about lifting the two-child benefit cap. What's happened?
Well, things have evolved. We've got Robert Jenrick now as our spokesman in the Treasury, and he's putting forward great policies, and tomorrow he will announce this new policy, and it's great. It's for the workers, not the shirkers, and it's not going to affect the people that genuinely need the welfare. And this is the point. We are getting completely out of control in this country with the people that are just claiming benefit because they can, because they don't really need to, and they don't fancy going to work. But we've got to stop that. We've got to stop that right now. And the best way to do that is to have an assessment by a clinician, like Robert's going to announce tomorrow, that will bring in new standards, and you won't be able to just bunk off work if you don't fancy it, stay in bed all day if you don't want to.
OK, so here are some problems I'm seeing with your plan so far, if you don't mind me being so bold. First of all, getting an assessment by a clinician. Well, that's great. You have to wait a month to go see your GP for, you know, most real-life issues, which is why so many GPs just end up following a script, and people then learn the script, don't they, within the system with all these sickfluences and say, right, this is exactly how you answer the questions, because it's got to be a system that is one size fits all for everybody. So when you go to the doctor, you say, these are my issues, everyone is treated the same way. So that's one issue I can already see. And then something which has made me cock an eyebrow in this, which I don't really understand and doesn't seem very business friendly, is that under this system, employers would have to pay for a new type of insurance, return to work cover, to cover the cost of the first 2 years after an employee signed off sick. So as well as increases in national insurance and all the red tape and workers' rights and all the things that the Labour Party have loaded on top of employers, you seem to now want them to pay even more to cover people who are out of work for 2 years with sick leave.
Yeah, well, that will be covered with a cut in the national insurance. It will be it will be zero. There will be no increase for the employers when it comes to that. We've covered that in there, and I'm sure you've read that. But it's a 0.2 cut in national insurance to cover the cost. So that is there'll be no increase to the businesses when it comes to that, bringing in that.
So what I want to know is, you know, if this non-consensual virus turns out to be some sort of, you know, hemorrhagic Ebola, and I end up having to be off work for 2 years. I'm freelance, so actually that's on me. But if I wasn't, why would, you know, Rupert Murdoch and the gang have to pay for me to be off work for 2 years?
So I think it's a really good point. I think there's something here that says that if you're off long-term sick, your employer, the company that you work for, loses contact with you, and that makes the return to work even more difficult. So I do think there's a really good case here to say there needs to be more contact, and it needs to be legislated for so that the companies have to remain in contact with those people that are long-term sick. Now, I get it. It's not this is not perfect, okay? There are going to be things like when you talk about clinicians not being available, we need to have better processes to get those clinicians in place and assessing? Absolutely. But this is the direction that we are going. We've got to cut the welfare bill. It is ridiculous and is still getting higher every single day. There are more autistic children. It's gone up 50% in the last year. It is not a sustainable model to continue with. So we need to do something, and this is the start. And there'll be more details tomorrow when Robert reveals the policy.
But it is a bit of a volte-face from when Nigel Farage decided ahead of the Runcorn by-election, can't remember the exact name of the constituency, to suddenly, you know, deliver these sweeping changes to uncap child benefits, to Robert Jenrick coming in. And at the time, I think there were discussions about whether the triple lock was sustainable, because a lot of people say, no, it's not. Jenrick comes in and all of a sudden it's like, no, that's reversed and we're going to keep the triple lock. You can understand why people don't really know which reform they're going to be getting.
Well, you kind of can't have it both ways. It's either Nigel Farage and it's a one-man band, or it is Nigel Farage spreading the jobs out to other people. And that's what's happening. So there was a time, and I'll accept it, that Nigel Farage was the one and only person that was making real decisions within the party. That's not the case anymore. And it's fantastic to see that other people are coming in, making decisions, and Nigel stands by their decisions. So we are becoming a much more broad party. We are becoming much more professional in what we do, and this is a signal of that intent.
Now, one of the perhaps upticks from the by-election in Clacton, it turns out because there's been a re-election, the Reform are now considered as having 6 MPs instead of the 5 MPs with defections and so on and so forth, which means he now gets to stand at the cenotaph. I thought it was quite curious, actually. I know the sort of rule in theory is you have to have over 5 MPs to stand at the cenotaph. But I did think it quite curious, actually, the last Remembrance Sunday, that all of them were there, including, you know, people who were essentially haranguing our veteran soldiers and trying to prosecute the brave men and women who were involved in the troubles in Northern Ireland, trying to witch hunt people and, you know, prosecute people in Afghanistan for war crimes and so on and so forth. They were at the cenotaph, and the one man who I would say has always had a keen interest in military history wasn't allowed. I mean, at least that, I suppose, is a small win.
Yeah, I mean, it's not the biggest win that we've ever had in reform. If you like, rules is rules, and if the number was 5, then the number's 5. Now it's, I think, actually 7 MPs. I think now that we've got the numbers, he will be there. He'll be proud to be there. And as you say, Reform are the party of veterans. So when we see all those veterans marching past Nigel Farage on Remembrance Sunday, that will put a little tingle up at people's backs. And we work very hard for our veterans. We got an awful lot of those as members and people that are standing for councils and are already councillors. So we are the party of veterans, and it'll be great to see him there on that Sunday. Now,
there is the usual skullduggery and scandal in the Sundays today, as per usual, with secretive sources gossiping about what's going on inside Reform UK, which apparently there's a bit of a rift between Nigel Farage and Zia Youssef. A source has said Nigel has fallen out of love with Zia, who is out of control. I think his days are numbered. Rupert only left because Zia went for him so hard over some HR nonsense. If Zia goes, Rupert could be persuaded back. How much do you believe that?
I don't believe any of it, if I'm honest. Zia's a fantastic asset to Reform, and Nigel knows that. I'm sure I know they are generally best of friends. So, you know, I don't see any truth in that whatsoever. Genuinely not sure that even if Zia left, we would get Rupert back into the party. I think that ship has sailed.
I think that ship is very much sailed. I think that ship is at the bottom of the ocean at this point. But here we go. Zia Youssef has responded on X, of course, saying the Daily Mail is campaigning hard for a pact between Reform and the Tories, so the Tories can then suffocate us. They will keep coming for me with this nonsense, quoting the same anonymous source, because they think I will die before I let that happen. They are correct. So essentially, Zia sees this as typical skullduggery in plots, and the connection between Restore and the Conservatives again. What is going on there?
And to be honest, you know, the Conservative Party are talking about having electoral pacts with the Labour Party, something that Margaret Thatcher would turn in her grave if she heard such nonsense. And that is the state we're in at the moment. Reform are not interested in what the Tories are up to. They're not interested in what Restore are up to. I want to reunite the right, but I don't think that involves the Tory party anymore. They're far too lefty for us. They need to get on and get a pact with the Liberal Democrats, like they've been talking about doing and have really been doing for the last few years.
Thank you ever so much, Sean. It's been a delight to catch up with you. Thank you for giving up some of your Sunday morning to answer all of my questions. I dare not say that blooming R word. No. Either of the R words. No. The one that ends in "estor" or the one that ends in "uput," because there's all sorts... Honestly, last weekend...
Oh, you kidding? I mean,
blimmin' heck, mate.
All week...
Got a bit mad.
All week, I would see, like, podcasts come through on my YouTube feed, and it'd just be a picture of me looking at you. Look, Alex Phillips has gone mad again. And it would just be, like, a picture of me and you there.
I tell you what's really sinister about this, OK? I'll let you all into a little secret. Gather round. So, I had a lawyer contact me, and he had seen what was going on. I had loads of... Like, my phone was ringing off the hook. Good Morning Britain, come and tell us your story. Telegraph, write us an article. I did do that one. But a lawyer contacted me and saw the sheer industrial scale of abuse I was getting online. And he said, you do know that this is criminal. It's actually not a case of defamation. It is criminal. And blah, 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 was listing me all of the things. Because when you look at the amount that it's happening, it's clear there are, you know, entities being deliberately used, bot farms, trolls, whatever, who have been deliberately engaged to try and intimidate, bully and attack me, and that is really quite sick and sinister, and it is. And so I'm considering what I might do next, but I hadn't really thought of it through those terms. I just thought, well, it's rough and tumble of the game and I'm just going to come off X. But when you do go online and see that there is clearly a choreography of trying to get a lot of people around to, you know, attack you on a very personal level, and, you know, I'm not one of these hate crime, Me Too movement types, but it was deeply, deeply disturbing and misogynistic, a lot of it. Very much. And you think that someone there is potentially, you know, sending an instruction to someone in Serbia saying, right, guys, everyone create memes and bots to go after her. That is
I guarantee you, by this time next week, I would have watched, or not watched, but be aware of at least 4 podcasts that are based on that conversation.
Yeah, exactly. Don't you worry. We'll all be scrutinising why I didn't go to a wedding when I was actually sitting here presenting a blooming breakfast programme. That is why.
I did actually watch a podcast this week which did scrutinise
so mental.
why you didn't go to that wedding.
It's like... I didn't go to the weddings. I didn't really know the man that much. And all of a sudden, David Bull had, you know, suddenly gone back to become chairman of Reform. And they said, we need you to cover breakfast. And I said, OK, I will do it. And my plan was, after breakfast, I would go over. But I finished breakfast at 10 in the morning after a 4-hour stint and about 1 hour of sleep and realised, right, I've got to go back to bed at, you know, a super early time again tonight. And by the time I get all the way over there, I'll have to leave again because I'll have to go all the way back to West London where I live. And I thought to myself, that's basically nigh on impossible. Did I phone the man on his wedding day? No, don't really know him well enough to do that. That would be weird. So I conveyed my sincerest apologies to a friend of mine, and then Dean, who is my producer, and I went out to discuss the show and discuss the next day's show. There's Dean, he loves it. He's been getting, like, attacked online for the photo of, you know, just for the privilege of being with me on that most important of auspicious occasions. It's just gone mad. And I'm like, what? It was a wedding that happened a year ago, someone that I barely knew, and I didn't go because my employer said, we really need you to work. That is what happened. Why there's ended up being, you know, Dan Wootton doing shows on it and things going viral on it. It's like, why have you gone, like, weird? Just odd. Anyway.
Well, I must admit, I have been very close to viewing what's going on, and some of it has been hashtag sinister.
Yeah, it is sinister.
But what, you know, what's to say on this? You said it all. I don't think you should have to explain anymore, Alex.
No, I don't. It's so stupid. Anyway, there we go. Please do invite me to weddings in the future, but also bear in mind that when you invite someone to a wedding, sometimes they can't make it. OK, we're going to be taking a short break now. When I come back, we'll talk about things that are actually newsworthy rather than Alex's private life. That's coming up after this.
the Talk app. You can watch, catch up and listen to all your favourite shows and podcasts anytime, anywhere, all on the Talk app. Watching and listening to Talk just got easier. There's now only one place for the home of common sense. So head over to your App Store or Google Play and search Talk now.
Across the UK, on DAB+, on YouTube, on your mobile, and on your side. This is Talk.
Blimmin' heck.
Blimmin' heck indeed.
I am absolutely... It's boiling
I'm acclimatised
in
now,
here.
but you do have a non-consensual virus.
I do.
Intruding.
I do. The air conditioning's broken, and it is... I don't even know what this temperature is. I feel like I'm in a David Lloyd sauna.
Yes, I was dabbing myself like a man... like a man in India during the period of the Raj, when the... I don't know what I'm saying now. Didn't land this at broadcast school.
I think the non-consensual virus is travelling into you. Because I actually don't know what I'm saying. I don't know my name anymore. I'm not sure
It's
I can
Alex
speak
Phillips.
sentences. I was just saying to Paul, this is such a gruelling job to do when you feel poorly.
Yes.
You know, when your brain just isn't really working. When, you know, I've got that sort of poorly where I just want to be asleep, and where you go in and out of a room 5 times, spin around like a whirling dervish and don't know what you're looking for, who you are, and then have to go for a long lie down. It's that kind of feeling poorly, and I just I'm trying to read words on screen, and I'm like, I don't understand English. What's that? It's not an easy job when you're not well.
It's a shame. I hope you're feeling much better soon.
It's always, isn't it? You know, 3 days of work in a row. About to go and enjoy some countryside life. My mate from America's coming to visit.
Oh, nice.
All these lovely plans. It's like we're going to go
Niall?
hiking. Yeah.
Is it, I need to meet Niall.
Well, come up.
No,
Just don't pee in the
that
shower.
wouldn't be fair. You've invited me 16 times to your place. Imagine if I turned up to see Niall.
Just to see Niall Gardiner.
I get on well with Niall.
So, Niles Gardiner was born, no, hold on. Niall's father was born where I now live. So he wants to come and do some sort of
in the area you
genealogy or something. No, but also we've been mates for years, and he lives in America and he's over. And so I was like, yeah, we'll do all these lovely things. We will sort of, you know, do some nice hikes. We'll go to country pubs. We'll play Trivial Pursuit in the local pub and, like, admire all the locals and their weirdness. Now I'm just going to be sitting in bed with a thermometer hanging out my mouth.
Maybe I will
set
need
yourself free. I mean, you do need to
come up to
someone's got to look after Niall, because I can't.
By the way,
anymore.
Niles Gardiner is one name. You haven't got Niles Gardiner.
But it's also not Niles. It's just
No,
Niall.
it's just Niall.
It's just Niall.
It's definitely not
But
Niles.
I love the fact that before the break, I said we're going to talk about proper news, not what goes on in Alex's private life. And we've subsequently come back after the break to talk about who's visiting me and when. No, that wasn't the plan. Right. Let's do some calls. I'm going to start coughing and potentially passing out in a minute, so you've got to do some heavy lifting today, Coxie.
More than happy to.
Right, here you go. Let me introduce Paul Cox and Sue from Hereford. Go on, have a chat.
Sue,
I'm going to
how are
sit
you
here
doing?
and,
Good morning, Sue. What would you like to talk to us about this morning, Sue?
Well, about the telephone alarms. A few years ago, we were on the Pelion Peninsula, which is Greece, and the alarm went off in English, not Welsh like it did here. Tremendous storm, locals killed, our hire car and several others went into the sea. There was lots of damage to the buildings. The water supply to the village was damaged. No transport to get us back to Thessaloniki, so we had to get a boat to the nearest island to fly home. And I think that's the sort of thing these alarms should be for.
I think that's actually very true. These alarms should be for hire cars getting in the sea and everything blowing. No, but exactly. That is the point. It surely should be a critical alert that you have to go and find, you know, emergency, clues in the title.
So
you have to go and
ask a
take
question?
immediate remedial action.
So how did you react when the alarm came through at 7 o'clock on Friday night? Did it worry you?
Well, it did a bit, and it came in Welsh.
That is worrying. But actually, on that...
And then later it came on in English.
So this is it, on that point, when someone had sent me a message about getting the message twice in Welsh, twice in English, I suddenly had one of those light bulb moments. You could actually see the cartoon, bing, above my head, because I suddenly realised I know how we get rid of the alarm, or other than just turning it off. Oh. But the alarm is racist. Because the alarm is not in Bangladeshi, it's not in Malayalam, it's not in Hindi or Sanskrit or Urdu or Mandarin or Cantonese or, you know, it's none of those things. And it is non-inclusive. The alarm others people, so therefore it's going to have to go, isn't it?
Is it not?
Unless we all get an alarm in every language.
I'm wondering if it's based on the settings on your phone, for instance. You know, when you start your phone up for the first time, you choose English, British, or whatever it might be. But Sue was in Wales, so it came through in Welsh. That must have been even more... Did you have anyone else around you that could tell you what that message was, Sue? Or were you just there thinking, oh, my goodness,
I'm being
what's
threatened in
going
Welsh
on?
and I don't know about what.
No, I was in England, but only 15 yards into England.
15 yards, right, OK. So you got it in Welsh first,
See,
even though you were just over the border.
Sue's ready. I'll tell you what Sue's up to. She's already ahead of us, you know, plotting the prepper colony by the River Wye.
Well, absolutely. But Sue, I mean, in all seriousness, this is quite a concern, isn't it? I mean, people are going to have apathy with regards to these messages. When one comes through in 2 weeks' time, are you going to pay attention straight away, or are you going to be thinking to yourself, oh, I could probably look at that later?
Well, yes, I will, because of what happened in Greece, because that storm went on to Libya and killed 20,000. So you've no idea just how dangerous it could be. But I just thought it was ridiculous, the one we've just had.
I think anyone who thinks it wasn't ridiculous themselves is ridiculous.
Yes.
That's got to be the conclusion.
And also, a fair play to you for taking it seriously. So irrespective of whether we trust the government in charge or not, we have to make sure that we take these things seriously, because actually at some point there is going to be a serious message come through on those things. So we do need to stay alert for all the for all the things that we say.
Yes, yes.
I need to stay alert because I've got an hour and a half of presenting still to go, and I'm not sure if I'm going to make it through, if I'm honest. I need my own little alarm system, but Alex is waning. Sue, thank you ever so much. In Hereford, of course, and there you are. That's how she was 15 yards into Britain. You've got that sort of wonderful hinterland where Offa's Dyke once used to be.
Yeah, I've met her, yeah.
Yeah. Right, OK, let's speak now to Andrew, who's in Hertfordshire. Hello, Andrew.
Hello there. How the devil are you?
Well, not well, it seems. But
I'm OK, though, Andrew.
He's all right for now. By the time the pathogens have crossed over the desk, he's going to be messaging me
come
tomorrow.
Wednesday, I'll be there right
I can't come and babysit Niall Gardner anymore because I've got your Ebola.
Andrew, what would you like to talk to about, sir?
The thing that Burnham's done well is to start to set the country against each other. North versus South, rich versus poor. And now what he's doing is he's setting the countryside against the system. And if you think about the countryside, and I know that Alex, you have lived in the country.
Oh, I've gone there. I'm in there.
Yeah, there is. If you think about where you are, and a village, say 20 miles away, if there were police, it would take them 20 minutes at 100 miles an hour to get to that village. Now, villages are remote. These people will be in remote locations. I'm not for vigilantism at all. It's wrong. But you're going to see pockets of real disorder, and nobody will be able to get to these people and stop serious injury. It's actually a really dangerous policy, because you're putting people who are vulnerable, you know, they don't speak the language, they don't know which way's up. You're putting them in places where actually Mississippi Burning, if you watch that film, because it was so remote, They were running their own type of law and order.
Hold on, so I feel like so many threads are coming together in this one glorious moment. It's sort of like...
Well, devolution is division, isn't it? I know it's the devolution of powers from centre to out, but you are also dividing, you are othering whatever it is you're devolving to. And Andrew's absolutely right. You know, you can have devolution within, you know, take Gloucester in the West Country, for instance. It's got millions of satellite villages and hamlets. Every single one of them could have its own vigilante police service, and before you know it, they've all got their own political bent on it.
You don't need to come visit me anymore. You know the lay of the land.
Yeah.
But no, do you know what's really weird, actually? So I think in part as well, Andrew, I'm trying to decipher, you know, the sort of narrative underneath our conversation, which is also the idea of Andy Burnham deciding about, you know, Mohammed from Eritrea should probably go live in Chipping Sodbury, and the idea that actually that probably won't work out so well because Chipping Sodbury probably doesn't have any other Muslims there and probably doesn't have the sort of groceries that he might like to buy. And also Chipping Sodbury, he'll stick out like a sore thumb in Chipping Sodbury. And then the people of Chipping Sodbury, who, guess what, like to shoot things quite often, might not like it so much. And then with the 20-mile-per-hour zones on the roads, when it all kicks off, the police are not going to be able to get there. I think that was sort of the fruition.
But also...
that's the gist. That's the gist of it, and you're spot on. But the people that will be most vulnerable, and it happens every time, young women and women. It is such a calculated move, and the way to solve the migrant crisis, and we've looked at many things, is tomorrow no fishing at all from French fishermen or Belgium or Dutch fishermen. And we only negotiate with the EU. And we stop them because they are a danger to the migrant boats. So that's why there's no fishing. And then from there, we start to negotiate. And the French fishermen, they can go to Care for Calais and work with the people at Care for Calais to make sure people can come across. If you did that and you inspired those French fishermen that their livelihood was at risk, those camps would be shut down.
So you're trying to energise the fishermen against the authorities in France and say, look, you can't. It's unsafe to fish because we've got these alien vessels floating through the fishing waters. So therefore, it would be unsafe for you to do so. The only way to resolve this is if we can stop the small boats crisis. Therefore, it's really down to the fishermen to resolve it with the French authorities. In this case, some of the charities as well, Care for Calais. Is that right, Andrew?
Yeah, and the thing about the reality for anyone in this country, especially women and girls, is you're on the train or the tube or next to your home is a grenade with the pin pulled out. You just don't know what that individual is going to do.
I've always said this, you know, if the house next to me, it was on the market and then all of a sudden it got turned into an HMO and, you know, so a pack of randos suddenly moved in, I would be utterly devastated. Because not only do you think, well, I want to leave where I am now, which is horrible in itself, you then think, well, I'm never going to be able to sell my house because no one wants to live next to them.
And you will be persecuted for having that thought.
Which is why it just makes more sense. I mean, we should just... Yeah, exactly, Piddington. This is the prime example. It makes more sense. I mean, we shouldn't have these people anyway. They should just be in detention centres or sent home. But if they are going to be anywhere, you put them where it's the most affordable for people, which is the poorest areas, which usually end up being the most multicultural areas, where they're more likely to sort of look around and see familiar faces. But no, I agree with you. The idea of let's all sing Kumbaya and you can put Abdul into, you know, Upper Wickford-on-Thames and it's all going to work out brilliantly and he's going to be the next Prime Minister of the UK. It's for the birds. Right, Andrew, thank you ever so much for your call. I felt like that took quite a lot of sort of intellectual athletics for me to move around.
I think maybe the non-consensual virus is harming you slightly there. But Andrew was trying to, I think, and rightly so, intellectualise it, to turn it around on itself and say, perhaps we make the problem the people we know can resolve it. Like, all of a sudden, when there's an issue with fisheries, the French are up in arms.
They are.
If you pit the fisheries in France against the crisis, it would probably resolve itself quite quickly. I don't think they would ever do that, and because of the reason that Andrew wants them to.
But also, I mean, very interesting, when Reform Reform announced their policy saying we're going to... You right there? Can you reach
Just
that?
kind of crispy. Just made that look really good, didn't I?
Yeah, didn't you?
No one noticed.
No one noticed that. Didn't want to wait for the advert break. No, give me my tea now. But I've lost my train of thought. Of course I have. Thanks. That's right. When Reform announced their policy saying we are going to send boats back to France, and the Tories and everyone else jumped up and goes, ha, 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 the French won't take them. I was like, did no one notice a year ago when Jordan Bardella went to meet Nigel Farage and said, I will take the boats back? Did everyone just miss that? Because I didn't. I thought that was a mega thing, that it was the front page of the Telegraph. And guess what? You look at what's coming up next year in France, the French presidential elections. Every single potential runoff, Rassemblement win. And he will be the Prime Minister of France, unless there is utter deviousness, cunning and evil electorally, and they rig the election or find some of a lawfare scheme or whatever, which isn't beyond them. They will try. But that is how you do it. You work behind the scenes. The populist parties of Europe need to start having conversations with each other, because if they are going to face down the might and the muscularity of the EU, of the UN, of international treaties, they better be sitting down behind the scenes and saying, how are we going to sort this out?
So we've seen incredible political disruption since the Brexit vote, and one of the reasons we have is because not one single political leader since then has enacted the policies required to deliver Brexit. So number one at the top of that list is illegal immigration, sovereignty of your country. And that's not just saying, oh, we don't want brown people in, that's the way it's been framed by the left, to make everybody who voted Brexit look either stupid or racist. But let me tell you this, I guarantee this, it's a coxy guarantee. The first set of leaders, comes with a gold seal, boom. The first set of leaders to solve that problem, to solve the boat problem, will stay in power much longer than anyone else.
And then it'll just be replicated by everybody else. That's the genius
It will become
part.
the norm. They'll go,
right.
OK, yeah.
Well, we could have shut borders. Oh, who'd have thunk?
But look at the language change around illegal immigration, by the way. The fact that people say illegal immigration now is a massive change. They never used to.
That's true. Now, do you want to have a really sad message before we go to break?
Oh, why not? I don't want it, no. Is it really sad? What's happened?
Really sad. I'm going to look at your face to see how much you find this very sad. Jane has messaged saying, Alex, as a child, I lived in Cleve Hill, and we had a Gloucester old spot called Betty. No. I used to ride her.
No.
Got up one morning, my dad had taken her to market.
Oh, my God.
On that happy note, we're going to take a break and recover from the sad news. And we're back after this.
Across the UK, on DAB+, on YouTube, on your mobile, and on your side. This is Talk.
Hello, welcome back. We need to pay attention, Paul. It's not OK to be sort of like rambling on about things.
We should keep all of our conversations until the end of the show.
We really should. It's always sort of slight jeopardy when you talk during an advert break, isn't it?
Well, it's to me, yeah.
Do you not get the music in? Actually,
I do get the music,
We just ignore it, a bit like the emergency alarm system. It's true. Let's do a couple of messages before we
not a sad
have a
one,
chat
though.
with...
Don't want piggies going to market.
There's one which is, continuing the debate of the day, apparently, because we're light on news. What is wrong with weeing in the shower? It all goes into the same waste system and saves on water. Everything is wrong.
Is that a man or a woman?
Don't know. Didn't leave their message, obvious, their name. They did leave the message because I just read it. Oh, God, heaven forfend, it's a
Get
struggle
back in touch,
today.
tell us exactly who you are.
But also, no, shower, clean, toilet, excretion.
That's the sort of thing you see on the lectern at some point. I've always got the 3-word slogans on. I know that's 4 or 5, but in front of the Alex Phillips lectern, when you're giving your first speech to the nation, it'll say shower clean, and what was it?
Toilet excretion.
First policy of Alex Phillips.
I'm sorry, that is a red line for anyone who's interested. If you wee in the shower, you ain't coming to my gaff. Done. Although, no one would tell me. Anyway, it's just that you have to have some standards in life.
Guaranteed Niall's taking a slash in your shower.
Don't stop it. This is so weird. Right. Don't pay me more. This message, because my brain is struggling against some lurgy, I'm really struggling to know whether this is tongue-in-cheek humour or literal. You know when you're not well and you just don't know what you're dealing with?
Yeah, read it. I'll tell you.
That alarm frightened me so much I knocked over my barbecue. Michael Smoker. And he says, yes, that is my real name, and I'm an electrician who has a fireworks shop. How could I not be? My virus-addled brain...
So I imagine...
I don't really know. That's got to be humour, right?
So my guess is the first part of that is humour.
Yes.
It's satire. The second part could be totally true.
That Michael Smoker is a man and
Michael
is an electrician.
Could be an electrician with a fireworks shop.
I don't,
you can easily find that out.
Let's think about this logically. Unlikely.
Or
there you go.
He started with a joke, so we can assume the rest is a joke.
So someone else's message going, Paul reminds me of Rhino from the film Bolt.
Right, I have no idea what that is.
I have no idea what that is.
So I'm going to be offended until I know otherwise.
Feisty but cuddly. Tech Up, can you get us a picture of Rhino from the film Bolt and get it ingested into the system?
I was immediately thinking there's a gladiator. I'm sure there must be a gladiator.
Well, there was, but
Rhino.
I don't think anyone's mistaking you for him anytime soon, if I'm honest. Unless they looked at the solar eclipse for like 5 seconds too long on Solar Wednesday. Nobody is making that mistake.
My ego went straight there. Of course it's a gladiator.
I mean, I know when you took your glasses off this morning, I wasn't sure who you were, but I didn't think you were Rhino from Gladiators.
Sort of Penfold without the glasses.
Penfold without the glasses just looks like a thumb. Right. Let's speak now to... I can't...
Is this going to be a serious contributor now?
I don't know. It is. It's Philip Kisserly.
Oh, my goodness. That's not fair on Philip.
Contributor.
Philip's great.
The struggle
deserves
is...
better.
Philip, what do you look like without your glasses, first of all? Because this is where we're going today.
I can't see. I look awful, presumably. I've got little piggy eyes.
You
so
also
there you
look...
go.
Hold on, you and Paul Cox actually look identical now. with both of your glasses off simultaneously. You're interchangeable.
The problem is I can't see a thing, so it's just a big blur with a bit
The
of
orange blob is Alex.
Yeah, not Donald Trump. I hate to suggest, actually, that is why you have glasses. Anyway, Philip, what do we want to talk about today? What of the offerings of Sunday's papers has really has really got you lit up this morning?
Well, all of it really. I was reading through it all of the certainly the messages your producer sent me, and I thought, oh God, it's the end of the world. Everything's terrible, and it's Sunday morning. I love that on a Sunday morning from Talk. It's brilliant, But the barbecue thing, the alarm for the barbecues was kind of bizarre to me on so many levels, because we got this alarm, but I was really interested about, I don't know if you talked about this or not, but the people in Wales. So the people in Wales got it in the Welsh language. Now, only a fraction of the people in Wales actually speak the Welsh language, about a quarter of them, I think. So they got the end of the world on their mobile phones. And I could imagine families, gathering under the kitchen table for nuclear annihilation. And then it's Andy saying, don't use your barbecues. But all of this stuff, I thought, one, it's political correctness. They're Welsh, so they're all going to speak, not going to speak English, they're going to speak Welsh. Two, we're going to impose on their lives. It's nice, cuddly Andy here. Good old Andy, just saying, don't use your barbecues, don't use your barbecues. That's all we're saying, with the 4-minute warning there. So it's the government imposing themselves on our lives in the most ridiculous kind of way. And it's, you know, it's going to be we're going to get the similar thing, you know, don't we in the shower? You know, we're going to get a government warning. Don't we in Alex's shower? You know, it's going to be that kind
actually,
of...
if they could factor that one in, I'd actually quite appreciate that. That'd be quite nice.
But it's at once absurd and sinister at the same time, because I don't want Andy Burnham messaging me every 5 minutes with the 4-minute warning.
Nobody wants to be, you know, sort of stalked by Andy Burnham. But
maybe Mrs. Burnham might.
I don't even think Mrs. Burnham wants that. But,
no, she's the last person who...
I mean, actually, it's very easy. It's just surely don't use your barbecue in Wales to just be dim barbecue-o.
It'll be something like that.
Yeah.
Bing bong, no barbecue-y. Sorry, that sounded incredibly offensive. I don't know what that was.
I don't know what that was.
Sorry, you're a proper political commentator.
We're struggling today, Philip, because I'm very under the weather.
I can imagine it. You know, the end of the world is nigh, isn't it? And I can say that because I've got lots of Welsh family. So.
But the issue is, I'm not at full capacity today because I'm not feeling very well, and Paul's treating it a bit like kids with a supply teacher. He's gone mad as a result because I'm not here to rein him in. Well, I am, but I'm not fully
Philip,
present.
You said something incredibly interesting to me, and that was the 4-minute warning, which immediately sparks the thought in my mind.
Don't spark thoughts, that could set off a wildfire.
Oh, my God, yeah, I've been alert. The Cold War. Can you imagine if this had been in the early 1980s or late 1970s or something, and they were using these alerts then? People genuinely would have been terrified. And it's not as if we're not that close. We're constantly told that we're, 3 minutes to midnight when it comes to Armageddon. So we need to start taking these things a lot more seriously, don't we, Philip?
We do. I think we need to impress upon the government that communication with the public must be serious. It isn't a PR exercise, okay? And I think what's happening is we're moving towards that kind of failing Labour government back in time to the 1970s, where it's big government, there's an element of authoritarianism, and it simply doesn't work. At this stage in the game, with such a fractured society, it's always going to be terrible. That kind of government, as we know from history, is always going to be terrible. But now it has a further added sinister element, and it feels as though they're trying to impose themselves. They're trying to control us because they know everything is out of control. We were laughing about the news agenda before, but the one takeaway from that is that everything is out of control. Everything from welfare and benefits and tax to the geopolitics of Russia and Ukraine. That's that 1984 continuous war, and our connection with that continuous war keeps us in our place. And everything that is going on just seems to be as though things are falling apart, and what they're doing is encroaching upon us, trying to keep us under control, keeping us in our place just to keep things going. It's the narrative. Again, I've been talking pretty much all weekend about the Jason Arday thing, which really gives us a kind of massive insight into this. Saying that this narrative, this fantasy DEI narrative, he was the hero for that narrative, wasn't he? And then they dumped him because, he was a liar and he was a cheat and all of that kind of thing. And then when he tragically died, they've picked him up again. He was the superhero. Now he's the tragic hero.
But what I think
it just feels as though we're trapped in this ridiculous fantasy narrative, and they're manipulating us all the time.
What I think is so sad, I mean, the Jason Arday thing is a tragedy. And I think it's held up a mirror to all of society, and I think all of us in some way have been slightly culpable in this. It's like in spectacles, and you can apportion more blame to this person and that person and so on and so forth. But, where we all had a good laugh, I had a great laugh about it, thinking this is, the most ridiculous story I've ever heard, DEI on steroids. And in doing so, we forgot, actually, that what we were looking at, and everyone seemed to forget the fundamental point of this story, is a very vulnerable man with a mental health condition. And on one hand, you had the left using him as some sort of performing monkey. Look at this, isn't he doesn't he represent everything that means means we can sort of, bask in morality in his presence by being such wonderful people to have discovered a magical pixie. It's a bit like how they tried to sort of, turn Greta Thunberg into an oracle. And I'm like, she's a kid with, some issues who doesn't want to go to school, but she was held up as some sort of, emblematic paradigm of everything beautiful in the world. And that's what they were doing with Arday. And they were basically using him to perform and not actually saying, actually, this guy's not... He probably needs to have a little bit of one-on-one help here. And then when we discovered it, unfortunately, the media did what the media does and social media did what social media does. And at the end of the day, there was a man with mental health issues who has essentially just been used, abused, gobbled up, spat out, and now he's no longer with us. That's the way I see it. And it's like I said, Charlie Booker could have written this for a Black Mirror episode.
Yeah, I think there are a few things here. First of all, people were saying, well, he gained the chair at Cambridge because he was black, and there's certainly an element of that. But also, the really important element is his neurodiversity, or was his neurodiversity. That was like catnip to them. But what that tells me, is that he was vulnerable, and they played on his vulnerability. They used that as a selling point. And that's what DEI does, doesn't it? That's the currency of DEI. It's vulnerability. Look at me, I'm this, I'm that, I'm a vulnerable, I have these characteristics. And that's why it's so horrible. And this is why this story is so tragic. But what I think the left are doing now is using this tragedy to perpetuate the myth, to perpetuate the false narrative. Now, yes, when it broke and it got more ridiculous and more extreme, and the fantasies were just off the scale. He was saying that he ran, 9 marathons with a broken leg and all of that kind of thing. Of course, there was scrutiny. That's our job as commentators and journalists. That's what we do. And other academics were on it. Of course they were. That's what we're supposed to do. But as this thing mutated and mutated, I think it was the left. It was the identitarians who really pushed for people to sign letters, to really push back on evidence, to frame the fantasy as victimhood. That was the problem. So it is really, it's tragic. And I've been thinking about it. I've been thinking about Nothing Else and talking about Nothing Else all weekend. And it's just emblematic of our times.
Yeah.
And we really need to think about living in reality. I've said this before. Right. There was a time, wasn't there, when 2 + 2 = 5, and men can be women and women can be men, and reality doesn't matter anymore. Yes, it does, because reality, for all its horribleness, is a safer place than fantasy. Fantasy, by definition, anything can happen, and that's the scary thing about it.
Philip, can I just say that is exactly the message. We need to get back to reality. That is exactly the moral of the story. Philip, thank you ever so much. The brilliant Philip Kissley, Senior Fellow at the New Culture Forum. We've got to take a break because I'm tardy as per usual, but don't go anywhere because we are back after this.
The Talk app. You can watch, catch up and listen to all your favourite shows and podcasts anytime, anywhere, all on the Talk app. Watching and listening to Talk just got easier. There's now only one place for the home of common sense. So head over to your App Store or Google Play and search Talk now.
Across the UK, on DAB+, on YouTube, on
Oh no.
I still don't know. This is the big reveal.
It's going to be the big reveal. Before the big reveal, let's do another. It's become a very banal show today, hasn't it? When he took off his glasses, he looked like Arthur Fowler in EastEnders, says Jeff in Cardiff. I'm not sure whether
possible, Arthur?
Was it you or Philip Kisserly? I don't know. But you actually looked the same without your glasses.
That's a good point. Maybe it was Philip.
But we both didn't know what the message was about when somebody said when he takes off his glasses.
It's not good, because you've done nothing but laugh since you were presented with the image.
What was the creature's name again? I've forgotten. Was it Rhino? That you look like Rhino in a film that I've never heard of called Bolt.
I don't know. I don't know why I'm laughing.
Get the bins off.
Take the bins off. That's quite going.
It's actually so true. Look at it.
It's better than I thought.
Oh, mate, there you go. I love it.
Thank you. Who said that's nice? That's cute.
Yeah, there you are. Oh. Right, when I saw Severe Alert, I thought it was an imminent air attack or something. When I read it, I thought this is a government trial run akin to 1984. When I received the alert in Welsh, I thought it said your area has been chosen to house illegal immigrants.
Can you imagine if that was the alert?
Yeah, migrants in your doorsteps. Your last caller was 100% correct. This is and should be only an EU problem, not because the EU have allowed the situation and conveniently turned their backs on the issue since 2012. We should not be arguing with the French. We should be arguing with the EU. What we need is, pardon my phrase, some balls. It is an EU problem because it's the EU who insists on having a borderless continent, and it was Angela Merkel who said refugees welcome and started all of this, and it's the ECHR, which is separate from the EU, but kind of not. So, yeah, I actually agree, and I think from the beginning, we're not in the Schengen Acquis. From the beginning, we should have just sent boats back.
So 100% of all illegal asylum seekers come from the EU.
Yeah.
Undisputable. So they find their way either in through Ireland or through the south coast or on a lorry or something.
Or lower lorries.
Coming from the EU. So our problem is with the EU.
Yes, it is. Our beef is with the EU, as it always seems to be. Anon says this will keep AP happy. There are 3 levels of phone emergency alerts, all of which can be silenced, but a 4th level, known in the US as the presidential level, that cannot be silenced. Oh. But fortunately, we don't have that level in the UK. So basically, you can just turn off the stupid alerts and they're utterly pointless. There we go. Right, we are going to be taking a short break now. Like I said, I've been running tardy for the last hour. But when we come back, we're joined by the brilliant Brylin Hollyhand, who's the author of Make America Talk Again, to discuss issues on the other side of the pond. That's after this.
across the UK. On DAB+, on YouTube, on your mobile, and on your side. This is Talk.
There we go. We really haven't had many jingles and ditties and
No.
limericks, no musical instruments. No one's got out their old school recorder. No one's bashing the saucepans.
No, show us your work on the piccolo.
On the what?
Piccolo.
Oh. Show us your work on the piccolo. Really, if the struggle is real today, the struggle is very... It is still so hot in here.
It is quite hot in here. I'm not moving just in case.
Oh, I'm not sure I'm actually going to survive the next hour. I think that this is it for me. This is the end of it.
There'll be people out there, you know, digging holes in the ground, listening to this, thinking these two are a couple of wallies. They don't know what hard work's all about. But we do, actually.
You have no idea what it's like to sit in, 90 degrees heat with a non-consensual virus.
You try sitting down and talking for 3 hours.
In this temperature, while poorly. Not easy. Right, morning, Alex. These government alerts being sent in Welsh first. If the next alert is to warn us of a Russian missile whizzing across the sky towards us, will the good people of Wales be given the heads up before us poor old English folk? Says Brian.
Well, all it will do is differentiate between the English and Welsh speakers. The Welsh speakers will have some chance of surviving, and all the English speakers will be brown bread.
What if your phone is in a signal dead patch? Which most of the country is, it seems.
That's a good point. You will also be brown bread.
There we go. Hi, Alex, I'm in Cardiff and I had it in Welsh. This is all about with that alarm being in Welsh today, isn't it? I'm not a Welsh speaker. My son-in-law is a Welsh speaker. And he said, don't panic, it's only about not having a barbecue. And we were at a barbecue. And he said, good on Plaid Cymru, giving us Welsh speakers a head start first. There you are. I've never spent so much time talking about
the whole thing is proven
a noise, basically. A noise.
It's just undermined the whole premise of emergency alerts. We were told that it would be for very serious incidences or helping find a lost child, for which we all agree we're quite...
Hold on, were we talking about the helping to find the lost child?
Yeah.
Did I just relay that to you from Steve Gill yesterday?
No, so I do remember back when this thing was spoken about that, if a child went missing, for instance, something terrible had happened, then we'd all be made aware. Maybe an image would come up and say you're looking for this young person. I can see that being of use, and also it's no point sending. By the way, it needs to be geographically targeted. If the child's gone missing in Scotland, there's no...
It also just seems mad because everyone received at different times and I don't know.
It came through continually throughout the evening.
Yeah.
Right the way up until about 8:30 from 7. So, and I got it at least twice.
I think I had it a few times. In fact, it almost messed up the show yesterday because I think I had it at some point during the night. And when my actual alarm went off, I was like, shut up, stupid thing, thinking it was the alert, and then I just slept in. But I did still make it on time. Right, OK, let us catch up with the wonderful Brylin Hollyhand, who's author of Make America Talk Again. Always great to have you on, Brylin. But, I mean, look, we were just talking there. We've now got this thing that you've had in America for quite some time, which is an annoying noise where the government gets to send us alerts. And in America, I think you get the annoying noise if a hurricane's about to come and, take the lid off your house. In the UK, we had the annoying noise with an emergency message from the government to say, please don't light a barbecue. Because that's England. That's how we roll over here. So there you go. Thank you for exporting that technology to us. It's now going to harrow our lives in a nanny state way. Let us talk about Donald Trump. Tell me what on earth now is going on with Iran. Iran apparently is saying that Trump must accept defeat. Donald Trump is saying, no, I'm going to declare the Strait of Hormuz as US territory. And then Iran's retorted, you can't just, take over territory by saying something on X. And all the while I'm sitting there thinking, how is this going to actually play out? Brylin, what's your take?
Well, I think what we've seen is peace through strength. And I think you've got to have the strength part to get the peace. And I think the president's going to continue to show strength on the world stage. And we look forward to that because that's what we voted for. I think in 2026, you remember the Teddy Roosevelt quote from about a century ago that said, peace through strength and speak softly but carry a big stick. In 2026, some of these people want us to treat the terrorist state of Iran while speaking softly and carrying no stick because we certainly wouldn't want to offend the terrorist. And I think the president doesn't care about that. I think we're going to make sure that we wipe these guys out, that they've had their chance for diplomacy. They started this war when they, kidnapped, 60 Americans in Jimmy Carter's time. How did diplomacy work out then? How did diplomacy work out under Barack Obama with his little red line in the sand with the JCPOA? They kept building nukes. They had enough nukes to, build 11. They had enough enriched uranium to build 11 nukes. And I don't know about y'all, but I don't know what you need that much enriched uranium for your night lights. They obviously wanted to wipe America off the map, and the president can make sure that instead they're wiped off the map.
What I don't understand about all of this is this, right? This particular hypocrisy. When Donald Trump started mouthing off on X that he really wanted a bit of Greenland, everyone was up in arms. They flew over to Greenland, they called emergency summits, the UN got involved, everyone's saying, isn't this dangerous rhetoric? This is disgusting, you can't do that, la, la, la. Now, he stood around and said, right, OK, we'll just declare the Straits of Hormuz American. And Iran's gone, no, 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 you can't do that. The Straits will be closed and opened only under Iran's command. And as long as you do not accept the reality of defeat and cease indulging in fantasies, Iran will continue to enforce the blockade. Where's the international community in saying to Iran, that Strait of Hormuz doesn't belong to you, my friends, and we're going to make sure that you stop your antics because you're preventing vital fuel supplies getting to the neediest of people, fertilizers getting to countries that are about to be engulfed in mass famines. You're going to blow up the world's economy. Why are people just allowing, why is the rest of the international community allowing Iran to play games with what is one of the most vital shipping routes in the world that has an impact on all countries in the world, particularly those that are, live on the precipice of plunging into some sort of economic or agricultural disaster? They're just sitting there going, oh, go on then, Iran, if you want to close it, you close it, because we hate Trump so much.
Well, I think it's very clear that Trump derangement syndrome is alive and well, and there's clearly no cure yet, because these people are literally choosing terrorists to run the Strait of Hormuz over the duly elected president of the United States. And, I mean, we made the Gulf of America here, the Gulf of America, because the president just put a bumper sticker on it and said, we're actually going to take this back and we're going to be proud of our country. I think we can call it the Strait of America and have an opportunity to have American exports there, to have the opportunity to make sure that it's controlled by a democracy as opposed to terrorist state. Why do we let Iran continue to do this? Why do we continue to bow down to them and allow them to continue to do this and tariff us for what, decades now? No, I don't think we should let this happen, and I think the president's right. Why have we been doing this? Why has nobody else called this out? But of course, the second the orange man does it, it's of course bad.
Can I just say, Brylan, absolute professional there. My microphone had just disappeared to, I don't know, some subterranean region. And Brylan could see me standing up, messing about with wires, and he was filling time for me. Did you see that?
Very well.
Honestly, Brylan, double your pay today, my friend. That was absolutely sensational, getting me out of a black hole.
Anytime, my friend.
Honestly, that is the sign of an excellent guest. Here we go. We've now got somebody else with Trump derangement syndrome accusing him of Hitlerian, I don't know how you'd pronounce Hitler-esque politics, by a Mexican politician. And this all comes down to some sort of big old visa row. Tell us more about that.
Yeah, a lot of people love to use the buzzword calling President Trump, a fascist, a dictator, even Hitler. A lot of people, even America, love to say that. My response to them every time it comes up when I'm debating on a college campus is he's the worst fascist I've ever seen. He's the worst dictator I've ever seen, because he allows half the country to hate him very publicly for a living, and I don't know any other fascist or dictator that would allow that. If you hate a fascist or dictator, specifically Hitler, we'd never see you again. You'd be rounded up. But as you know, almost every single news channel you flip on in this country, almost every single college campus you go to in this country is filled with people that are comparing Donald Trump to Hitler Jr. And I think people have to understand that when they say the temperature's gotten too high in the room, political violence has gotten too hot in America, it's strictly because of comments like this. You can't walk around calling every single young guy that wears a MAGA hat Hitler Jr. and then be shocked when we're attacked on college campuses. You can't walk around and call Trump the next Hitler and then be shocked when he continues to have assassination attempt after assassination attempt. You can feign your shock and prayers. You can send us your thoughts after something like that happens. Or maybe we could present the entire tragedy in the first place and just stop calling people in politics Hitler just because you disagree with their political policies. Maybe, just maybe, if some of these opponents of ours had really good policies that could beat us at the ballot box instead of having to do fear-mongering before elections to try to beat us.
Now, the really alarming thing over in America is, you know, the toxic combination of what you're talking about, this whole idea of, hold on, what was our stochastic terrorism? There we go. Creating this environment of fear by demonising somebody politically in the hope that someone might then act upon it. In the United States, you have the sort of twin risk of you do have a tendency for shooting rampages as well. And you just imagine, you know, when these things sort of get brought together in a toxic cocktail, quite what the outcomes might be. But you have over in America had a series of mass shootings again of late. I mean, you know, there's always a raging battle about gun ownership in America. And then, I mean, one thing I think I'm quite thankful of in the United Kingdom is we don't really have that problem. Ours always have, like, machetes and zombie knives instead. But here we go again, essentially. No doubt it's going to be the same debates in the public forum. People going, what do we do about this really horrific issue?
The answer is better education. The answer is more good guys with guns to prevent the bad guys with guns. And I think as we continue to see this push from the socialist movement and our country to defund the police, it would just cause more tragedies like this. Because at the end of the day, bad guys are going to be bad guys. And it's not just what legislation can we put on it, it's how we can stop the bad guys. You can run around and say ban all guns. You can run around and say we're going to have, this utopian land where sunshines and rainbows and unicorns walk around and all the guns are burnt to the ground, except these bad guys are still going to shoot up the schools, and there's actually going to be nobody to stop them now. And so I think specifically the example you're referring to, we had good guys with guns that eventually stopped the tragedy. We had, officers on the campus. We had some trained people prepared in the situation. We need more of that, not less of that. And I think defunding the police is just asking for a death sentence for the rest of my generation to be sitting ducks in our classrooms.
Yeah, it's an interesting one, isn't it? Because I always say when it comes to America, if you suddenly banned normal folks from having guns, the guns are already there. The guns are, everywhere in America. And the people who would retain their guns would be the criminals and the bad uns. Whereas in the United Kingdom, thankfully, we don't really have many guns in circulation. And so it's already a problem that is far easier to control. But like I said, if it's not guns, it's something else. And we've got a huge problem with knife attacks in the United Kingdom, which is really unsettling. Bylan, thank you ever so much, my darling heart, and thank you again for being such an absolute professional. And his beautiful face and his wise words filled my screen until the exact moment the microphone was restored. And I don't even know why, we went through the rigmarole of pretending that wasn't taking place when I immediately point that out.
It was quite the rummage.
It was quite the rummage, yeah. Oh, I knew that. But before we came back on air, it's like something's weird. I can tell something's fallen off me. Some wires aren't in the right place. And they're like, no, you're fine. It's like, no, your microphone's gone.
You can sense.
Yeah, always dangerous. OK, so let's talk about Donald Trump. Let's talk about America, because I think it is interesting. When you look at America, they seem to be 5 years ahead of us with the mad stuff.
Yes.
And what I can tell from America is quite how difficult any sort of vaguely right-wing government is going to find it if they want to do vaguely right-wing things in this country. I think Trump has managed to now get on top of the deportations. Those sort of initial huge protests against ICE seem to be diminishing slightly. But when it comes to geopolitics and operating on the international stage, I cannot fathom how the international community is just looking at Iran's antics and going, OK, on you go.
Well, they were never going to allow Trump to succeed. I mean, his policy on illegal immigration on the southern border has been a resounding success. It's gone from, hundreds of thousands, millions a year to zero. Zilch. Gone. Done. And that is, for which he should be applauded, but to prove that it can be done. Because for many years, we were told by American president after American president that wasn't achievable. Done. Now, it came with some pain. Of course, ICE has got some questions to answer sometimes. However, of course it did. If you allow a problem to get that bad, it's a bit like a cancer, right? If you allow a cancer to grow, you need chemotherapy and radiotherapy to get rid of that cancer. It's difficult, it's harmful to the body, but the end effect is worth the pain. That's what's happened with immigration in the United States. So that's not proliferated across the globe. There's still plenty of people who hate Donald Trump, still plenty of people who hate Donald Trump within the US. He invokes an emotion in people that is rarely seen in politics. So what we're seeing is those people around the world are coalescing around the Trump derangement syndrome. So we get every time that you've got an issue with Trump and his politics, you can attack him personally. You can call him Hitler. And that's what they're doing. And then there's another attempt on his life. We're seeing it in this country. Now, as much as I don't want to invoke Arday because that's a tragic case, that's very different to this. And what we're going to see play out this week is people try and take that narrative and cram Arday into it and try and make people the bad guy and the good guy. Very unfortunately, the left have got mega questions to answer, and until they do, that problem won't go away. A vigil won't fix that problem. That will be my point to make on that. But with regards to Donald Trump and the Mexican, was it Prime Minister or a president accused of Hitler and politics on a visa rail? That's just very easy, isn't it? We used to say as soon as you invoke Hitler, you've lost the argument. Now it's like, we've got to call him Hitler.
We're not going to give mass visas out to your country. Hitler!
Exactly.
What?
But famously, you know, Hitler didn't get too involved in visas. I don't know what they're talking about. It doesn't make any sense. There's no logical link.
What Bylan said was absolutely true as well, which is, you know, when you are a fascist, an actual fascist, you don't like critics, you lock them up, you silence them. Donald Trump doesn't do any of those things at all. He's a bastion for free speech. It's this country where we do that.
Absolutely we do. We've got much greater control over speech in this country than they will ever have in America. And I'm sure there are parts of the Democrat Party that would love to have the overreach that we have in this country because it would help their cause no end. They'd be able to shut Donald Trump down in the same way as they're trying to shut Nigel Farage down here.
But one thing that really alarms me, it sort of ties back to the emergency alarm. Again, like, don't have a barbecue, don't have a barbecue. OK, we can all laugh at it, but there is something quite creepy about this. And it's also the one thing that sort of does send a shiver down my spine is the reports of the number of people then wanting to snitch on neighbours and report them to law enforcement for having a barbecue. Because that is how Nazi Germany actually works. This whole idea of, you know, report someone who might be hiding a Jew, report somebody who, you know, has been criticising the party. That is where we need to be looking.
Well, we had the biggest test run in humanity in a long time when we had the COVID lockdowns, which only really existed in the Western world. Let's not forget the anglicised Western world. Again, the thing that's most at risk was where it proliferated the most. I mean, in deepest, darkest Africa, they weren't working from home. These things weren't happening in the same way. What they learnt in COVID is that one will snitch on the other, because some people react to fear differently. Most people react to fear in a way in self-preservation, and they also harbour dislike for their fellow humans. So they look at Nigel Nigel, the neighbour, across the road and go, I don't like Nigel, he's got a better car than me, and he's also having his 4th barbecue of the week. We need to stop this. And now the government is helping me stop Nigel. And you know, that can be extrapolated out for Nigel of Reform as well. We're just seeing the divide even further. We know the critical thinkers tend to live on the right, and the submissive tend to live on the left. The critical thinkers go, you don't want to, this is ridiculous, why would you allow this to happen? And the left go, well, you're mental, you're trying to kill us. Barbecues, COVID. And we're like, what is wrong with you? But when the left have got their own government, they can just come out and say, yes, you are right. We've got alert systems, come here for a big Burnham cuddle.
I'm actually very excited to see my Aussie friend from a few villages up who's been over here for 20 years to see how he reacts to all of a sudden a government alarm system on his phone telling him not to have a barbecue. You know, he'll be going back to the land of, like, the outback and wild bushfires in T-2 seconds. That's going to rile him right up.
Absolutely.
OK, we are going to be taking a short break now. After that, let's do some calls, shall we? 03444 499 1000 is the number to dial if you want to have a chit-chatteroo with us. It's your normal network rate, so it is free as free speech should be. 8722 is the number to send us a text message. Write the word talk before you type out your message, please. You can also still squeeze in some sort of audio treat on WhatsApp. Send it to 03444 499 1000. Back after this.
the Talk app. You can watch, catch up and listen to all your favourite shows and podcasts anytime, anywhere, all on the Talk app. Watching and listening to Talk just got easier. There's now only one place for the home of common sense. So head over to your App Store or Google Play and search Talk now.
Across the UK, on DAB+, on YouTube, on your mobile, and on your side. This is Talk.
Hello, welcome back. Should we do some calls?
Yes, I'd love to speak to some people.
Would you like to speak to Derek in Inverness?
I would. Derek?
He's not there. It's Michael in Birmingham. Hi, Michael. How are you doing?
Yeah, Michael in Birmingham's here. Just a correction to your traffic guy. Coleshill is pronounced Coleshill. Anyway, so what I was going to say is about the illegal. I was going to talk about Arday, but as I said, for the illegal migration. You talked about narrative shifting before. Have you noticed that the narrative shifted from stopping the boats, which is farcical? They talk about stopping the boats. They talk about putting the people in the countryside. Does anybody talk about deporting people here who have failed their asylum or who are illegal? Or do we now just accept that they're here and embedded in the community and will be housed? And by the way, I think that they will soon be legalised in time for the next election to vote Labour, which could be part of why they're dumping people all over the country, by the way.
Yeah, I mean, it's interesting. It is always the speculation, isn't it, that the left use mass migration in order to essentially gerrymander a plebiscite and sort of, you know, stack the odds in their favour. And it's true, we do hear that the Labour Party have deported more people than ever before. Well, if you're doing all these deportations, show us, because we don't believe you. We're not seeing it happen. And even if it is happening in part, it's really not happening at a pace that even remotely matches the levels coming in. And, you know, on it goes. Day after day after day after day.
So, Michael, it's a great point. And the appeal system is infinitum, by the way. It takes 2 years to get to, on average, to get to the point where a decision is made. And you immediately go into the appeal process, the whole while being paid for by the state. So, no, that never really ends. I don't think... I'd love to see the figures, I'm sure they're not published, on how long it actually takes, how many appeals are allowed, and what it takes, you know, in its entirety on average to get these people to be deported, and how much, equally as importantly, it costs.
Well, I think that there's some ground for reform to make here, and I never hear them say it. I would love reform to say that they're going to go back over 20 years and appoint 10,000 civil servants to go back over 20 years and review all citizenships that have been granted and all successful asylum claims, just to see if there's anything where they shouldn't have been, any leniency, any over-credulity on the cases. I've worked, by the way, in the immigration thing, assessing the asylum stuff. And let me tell you, I'm not going to go into too much detail, but I'm not in it now. It's virtually impossible to turn somebody down.
Yeah. See, this is... I figured that one out ages ago, because when you can start using as your claim for asylum anything such as, I just come from this country, which is one of them, you know, Eritrea, Sudan, Somalia, places like that, it's just automatic, OK, you can stay because you're from that country. We don't know if it's one of the wrong-uns from that country or someone fleeing a wrong-un. Then you have, well, it's because I'm gay. Well, it's very hard to disprove someone's sexuality if they say they're a certain thing. And then when you look at how many countries in the world outlaw homosexuality in some form, or could be seen to be persecuting or denying certain freedoms for people who are homosexual, it's about sort of 2/3 to 3/4 of the world. Then you've got the argument of, well, it's because I've been brought up in mass poverty. Again, that is the vast amount of the world you're talking about. Then you turn around and say, well, it's because I'm being politically persecuted. I mean, basically anybody can come over and say anything, and by virtue of the fact they're just not from the UK, it seems to be reason enough to say, well, you better come and live here then.
Yeah, and just, I don't want to take up everybody's time, but if somebody from the Home Office wants to come on and contradict me, fine. But I happen to know that part of the process, if someone was lying, that was no reason to disqualify their claim, even if you'd proved that they were lying.
That's so mad. If you're proven to be a liar and be playing games, that should be automatic disqualification. The only thing that I would be slightly wary about, and it's not because I'm a sort of softie all of a sudden with suicidal empathy, is I'm always mildly uncomfortable about things being done in retrospect. And even though I totally agree that there are people here who have been granted citizenship and asylum and they never should have been, if, that's been the case for 10, 20 years, I have a bit of an ick about turning around and saying to that person, we've changed our mind and off you go. For various reasons. I still believe in many respects in a system of fairness, even if it wasn't particularly fair to grant that decision in the first place.
Yeah, but just one thing on that. Look, view it as a cold case review. We review murders after so long. I'm not saying asylum seekers are murderers. I'm not saying if somebody's case checks out, you change the rules. But if they've done something and it turns out that there was something that didn't check out, yeah, you're liable to have your claim stopped.
OK, no, I suppose so. If you've been, if you've been proven to lie on an application and then it's later discovered, then retrospectively, I suppose you should say, yes, off you go. Many things need still to be laid out by all the political parties in the United Kingdom of how to deal with what is really, I think, the zeitgeist issue of the day. And one thing that's sort of frustrating me on all of this is they all sort of just shout in this corner or say that we're going to do this, we're going to do that. We really do need someone to have a fully comprehensive plan, to make a list so we can all see exactly what it is, to explain how they've worked it out, all of the legislation. I imagine this is why in some part this hasn't been done yet, because it is a very convoluted process. You're going to have to be able to actually label exactly which bits of legislation you will repeal, the sort of loopholes that then you're going to have to fill, what needs to replace certain bits of legislation, because some of it will need to be replaced and amended, how you're going to negotiate with third countries when you want to start doing deportations, when the French are going to take the boats back, etc. There is so much to be done, because it's been a crisis that's been, 3 decades in the making. It isn't going to be solved in just 3 minutes. And I think as the public, we know how serious it is. And what we need now are people who can turn around and show us exactly what they're going to do and not just go, millions must go, smash the gangs, stop the boats.
Secure the borders.
Secure the borders. Yeah, exactly. We really do need...
So Michael said about someone from the Home Office coming in. Michael, there's absolutely no chance of that because they can't contradict you because everything you said is true. I know this from people in my family. I know people that were immigration officers during the 70s and 80s, even before that, where they actually had discretion to make those asylum decisions. Somebody would come up at the passport desk and say, I plead asylum, and they'd say, oh, do you now? And they'd have a little look to see, what their history was, if there was any history, what their plans were, if they had any money, did they plan to go back? And they would say, I'm sorry, you do not have grounds for asylum, and they would send them back. And this was at a time when the ECHR wasn't being interpreted the way it is now. What we've got now is an overreach and an overtake of the human rights lawyers that are enabling us to interpret the ECHR in whatever way they want to for their own political gain, because it is politics. It's not taking into account the sovereignty and the security of a nation. It's taking into account a small percentage of people that believe that all immigration should happen and that borders shouldn't exist. That's what's happening.
It is indeed. Right. Thank you ever so much to Michael in Birmingham. Guess who's on the line?
Claire?
No, close.
Someone else?
Yeah, correct. It's someone else. It's Cindy in Michigan. It's been a while.
No way.
Cindy, you hadn't phoned this particular show for a while, and I was actually going to get my producers to do a check call to make sure you're okay, that you're thriving.
Oh, but I have. Little do you know I have. But you know what? You and Paul are the best show on Talk. You energize me. You put a spring in my step, and you make me want to engage you.
Thank you,
Oh,
Cindy.
bless you. Now, can I ask
Best
you
show.
something, Cindy? I know it kind of works the other way around normally, where you phone in and sort of ask us stuff. But I want to ask you something, because you're in Michigan, and it seems like Michigan is getting a bit British. Looks like you're starting to get a few of the problems that we know about with, you know, a certain community trying to push their own agenda.
Yeah, there's Dearborn, Michigan, for one, which is like little Muslim, big Muslim area. You know, they even have the what is it? That music they play for prayer.
Oh, the call for prayer. Oh, you have the call for prayer.
If I lived near there, that would drive me nuts, and I'd be protesting down at City Hall. I'll tell you that.
Tell us about this guy who's won the... Does he win the primary for the Democrats to be the candidate for senator or something?
I know who you're talking about, and I'm losing my mind. He's not going to win, I'll tell you that.
Oh, right.
He's just not going to win.
But it is interesting. Do you know about this one, Paul? There's
I don't
a guy.
actually know.
So you know you've got Mamdani in New York.
Yes.
There's a guy down in Michigan who wants to be. Is it the senator of Michigan? Was that what the primary was for, Cindy?
Yes.
Oh, that's right. And I don't know his name, but he basically makes Mamdani look like, you know, Archbishop.
Was there a vote this week?
Yeah, the primary was this week or last week, and did he win the primary?
Well, I don't know the outcome. I knew there was a vote this week.
I don't believe he did.
Right, OK. There was a lot of talk that he would.
Mm.
No, I don't think he did. I don't.
Well, who knows?
Our producers can probably find out for us.
But you know what? I can tell you all about your news really quick. I'm telling you, the American news is boring. As you know what, like it just doesn't. They don't make me want to engage.
All right.
British TV.
Oh, but yeah, we've got fun things like warnings for barbecues over here. Never a dull day in the United Kingdom.
I know that. I know, and I think that was stupid. I think they were putting a test on you. But what I wanted to talk about is there's a building going up in London from the Chinese. They got permission to build this.
Big embassy.
Why?
Socialist plans to paper over our beautiful green pleasant countryside with solar panels. They then need to pay for solar panels with money they don't have because we're broke as a nation. But guess who's happy to try and provide these things for free? That's right. No, that's great.
Exactly.
So that's why they eat out of China's hands.
Oh, that's so dumb. And I want to say, too, switching over. Sorry, I want to switch, because I know that you can. I love Donald Trump. I support him. But when I go out to the city, see, I live in a small farmland place, and everybody's down for Trump. But when I go to the city, like Ann Arbor, which is 3 hours away, close to Detroit, all the dirty looks, and people don't like when I wear an Trump, because when I go to the city, I always make sure to wear my Trump shirts that say "Let's make women great," "Let's make women again." I wear a lot of different things. I have.
Oh. We love to hear it. I mean, that's living life on the edge, isn't it? If
Cindy, can you send us a photograph?
Actually, yeah, we've never seen what you
I'd
look
love to
like,
see what you
Cindy.
look in one of your Trump t-shirts. Would be
we want to
fantastic.
see it. Exactly. It would be great to put a face to the name. Cindy, we're going to have to leave you, but it's great to have you back on. It's been a while.
It's great to hear from Cindy.
It is always
and you were
great to
only
hear from
asking, I think it
Cindy.
was last week or the week before, is Cindy okay? Because we've not heard.
Yeah, and also Merv, if you're listening, please let us know if you're okay as well. I've got various names I look for.
Yeah, we do need to know how you're doing,
We do need to know how you're doing, Merv.
He did
because
tell
you're
us,
always,
didn't he, that...
always on our minds. Right, OK, we're going to be taking a short break now. After the break, we're catching up with Andrew Allison, Head of Campaigns for Popular Conservatism, for all the news of the day. That's after this.
across the UK. On DAB+, on YouTube, on your mobile, and on your side. This is Talk.
Hello, welcome back and welcome to the show. Andrew Allison, Head of Campaigns for Popular Conservatism. Conservatism, that word always throws me off. I always want to say conservativism. Conservatism feels like you're missing a letter.
No, it's correct, though.
I know.
Or just say popcorn.
Popcorn, there you go. Head of Campaigns for Popcorn. Andrew, welcome aboard HMS Common Sense, riding the high seas at the moment. Let us talk first of all about, well, we've got to talk about that blimmin' alarm, don't we? I mean, it's done, it's gone, it's over, because it's basically like the boy who cried wolf. The very first time they use it, everyone's gone, well, that's a nonsense, I'm switching it off.
Yeah, basically. Yeah, I think you're absolutely correct. And I can understand why the government wants to put some form of alert out there. If it stops some idiot discarding a cigarette end, or it stops them using a disposable barbecue in the woods when they shouldn't, I could maybe understand that. But there's all sorts of ways of putting those alerts out through the media. I got one alert which sort of made me jump out of my seat. But what I wasn't expecting was the second alert, which really did make me jump out of my seat about 5 minutes later. And then I was on a picnic bench yesterday watching my two boys kick a football around, and another bloody alert came through. and all of them were identical.
This is what's weird, because I think I had quite a number of them, unless I started just getting like the echo of the alert in my head, because when I was half asleep during the night, I kept thinking I heard the alert going off. But it just goes to show, doesn't it, the sort of people who govern us. The fact that Andy Burnham, we've got real-life serious issues, and he goes up to Cresh in the North and, is getting someone to, write out in felt tip his plans for the week. And instead of going, must sort out this illegal immigration because they're using record-sized dinghies to ship terrorists over into the country, instead he's like, yeah, that alert, should we send one out? Yeah, go on, what should we use it for? Well, the wildfires are going on. Maybe we should send out an alert about that. All right, let's give it a go. Actually, hold on. Who are we sending it to? Well, we could send it to just people who might be living near a wildfire, or everyone. Let's see if it works for everyone. Tell them not to use barbecues. I mean, heaven forfend. As Philip Kisley was saying about an hour ago on the show, we just need to get back to reality. Andy Burnham seems to be living in absolute make-believe world.
Well, his constituency is Maker Field, so maybe that's the reason why. But you're right. I mean, a localised alert would have made sense. I mean, look at the footage from Stourbridge. It was horrifying, where those homes were quite literally incinerated, weren't they? So, yes, you can understand localised alerts, perhaps. But what about people who are on a crowded train, 50, 70 people on a carriage and all of that going off at the same time? Or people who are driving their cars? Now, it may be illegal to check a text message when you're driving, but when that comes through, I defy anybody not to naturally take a look at it. And therefore, people are swerving around on motorways and swerving around on other roads. So, no, it's completely unnecessary for what it was sent for. Just get messages across if you want to, via the media. There's loads of ways of doing it. You do not need to send an emergency alert.
It could have simply, like in the COVID days, Boris Johnson got behind a lectern. You could have easily had some sort of minister, except they don't seem to do anything anymore. Has anyone seen a Labour minister say or do anything lately? You could have easily had a minister turn around and do a little, very quick press conference, which would have gone out on all the news channels and been put in the papers and then sort of, spread around organically. We've had unprecedented hot weather. You've seen footage of wildfires taking place around the country. There's been severe damage to farmland, but also individuals' properties, homes, so on and so forth. We urge everybody over the next coming weeks, where it's particularly dry and particularly hot, to think very carefully about how they conduct themselves. Done. That's how you treat adults. That's how you treat adults. The problem is we're just not treated like adults anymore. We're treated like stupid little children who need to be governed by an emoji, who, we have to be told to be kind, like we're sort of like naughty little 3-year-olds pulling each other's pigtails and nicking each other's sandwiches. And then this is what is driving me mad, the infantilization of the world.
Yeah, no, I agree with you. And you're right. If a government minister or the Prime Minister had stood at a podium in Downing Street and had made those comments, then of course the media would have done its job, and this would have been broadcast all around the country, and the messages would have got across. But it really has undermined this emergency alert system now, because the more messages you get that are really not genuine emergencies, the less likely you are to take something that is really serious.
No, exactly. Like I said, boy who cries wolf. It's already happened one too many times. I feel like this whole thing is now a disaster. Let's talk about reforms plans to cut $50 billion a year in welfare. Now, the big proposal is going to be released to the public tomorrow. Apparently, it's a 50-page document, very detailed, and they explain exactly who, what, when, where and how. Robert Jenrick is being the pioneer for all of this, but what we do know so far is that he would abolish PIP payments and the health element of universal credit for working-age adults as part of reforms that would remove or cut benefits for 2.89 million people. PIP would be replaced with a health security allowance for severe and enduring disability cases. Only those with severe disabilities would get cash support. Remaining claimants would be provided necessary services and support through council-run disability support accounts. All of this sounds relatively sanguine to me, relatively sane. We know we've got to cut down welfare a lot. I do sometimes worry that government has this sort of sleight of hand where they go, well, we're not going to do that anymore, so we'll just sort of shovel all of that responsibility to local councils. The one bit, however, that I'm not so sure I like, because I can't quite wrap my head around it, if I'm honest, which is under the system, employers would also have to pay a new type of insurance, return to work cover, to cover the cost of the first 2 years after an employee signed off sick. Now, I know already that employers up and down the country have been hit with the minimum wage going up. Sounds really nice, but if you're a small business, how do you then afford to pay your staff? It's been hit with the workers' rights bill and the amount of red tape there where people can go on sick for the first day, and of course the rise in employers' national insurance. And I'm not sure for the party that says we're business friendly, we want to cut red tape off employers, making them pay a new type of insurance that would essentially then cover the cost of someone being off sick for 2 years. I'm not sure how reformy that sounds.
Yes, Alex, that was the bit that intrigued me, because like you, I couldn't quite get my head around it. In the report that I read in the Telegraph, Reform has said that it will be cost neutral. Not quite sure how it's going to be cost neutral, but it will be cost neutral for employers. But the last thing that employers need are more additional costs, as you quite rightly said, increased national insurance contributions in the last couple of years, increased minimum wage. Employers cannot really afford any additional costs. But on the wider point, well, this is welcome. The political party is taking this seriously. No government of any political colour has balanced the books for the last 25 years. 2001 was the last time that we had a balanced budget where the government spent roughly what it brought in taxation. Since then, we have been borrowing as if money was going out of fashion. So these big budgets, such as welfare, health and social care, have to be tackled. And we're going to have to find around about £150 billion worth of cuts, one way or another, to start balancing our books and start paying back this £3 trillion worth of debt. So it is very welcome that Reform has realised the seriousness of this, and is not trying to trim off like Labour was trying to do last year, just £5 billion worth of savings in the welfare budget, which of course Labour MPs completely rejected and rebelled against the government, so they backed down. Robert Jenrick is talking about the serious cuts in welfare that we need.
One of the other things that they say is there's going to have to be face-to-face clinical assessments of whether people really do deserve disability benefits. And I agree with that, OK, I do. But we all know, don't we, that in practice, number one, these systems can always be hacked, if you will. And number two, we just don't have enough front-facing clinicians with hours in order to assess everybody. And so what ends up happening is this gets passed to someone in Whitehall, in the civil service. So it's like, right, we have to come up with a completely new way of assessing whether or not someone requires benefits. And it's got to be the same for everybody. Everyone's got to have to go through the same test and pass the same thresholds. So then what happens is when people then get to know what those questions are, what the script looks like, some sickfluencer online says, OK, you need to say to your doctor that, no, you can only walk up 2 stairs and you've got to sleep on your kitchen floor. And so that is what the GP will be told, and the GP will go, right, OK, therefore they deserve to stay on benefits. I can just see how it's going to carry on becoming a problem. And I don't know. I don't want to be sort of like nothing's possible, nothing can be done. But there are many, many things more that need to be thought about, I think, with this proposal. Although we haven't seen the full thing, have we? It's a 50-page document or whatever, which comes out tomorrow.
Yes, I mean, and that is the thing. The devil is in the detail. Of course it is, Alex. And I will be taking a look through those 50 pages tomorrow because I really do genuinely want to know much more about this policy and any potential pitfalls. But of course, people have always played the system. I mean, I remember I'm going back about 30 years ago. It was a local town councillor in County Durham. And he used to walk around without any issues at all until, well, when he just needed to go to see the GP to get signed off for another 6 months. And all of a sudden, he was doubled over in pain and he was walking with a stick. That proved to the GP that, yes, he couldn't work and he was entitled to these disability benefits. Then he went home and then he didn't use the stick for another 6 months. So even when you have these face-to-face appointments, people still swing the lead. They still try to pull the wool over the eyes of clinicians. But I do agree that we do need more face-to-face stuff because it's very easy to play the system when it's all done online.
Thank you ever so much, Andrew Allison, head of Popcorn, joining us just there. I mean, look, there's no point me being a sort of like a Debbie Downer and going nothing can work when things do need to work. But this is, the rot has set in. The decline and the decay is so far now. It's a bit like what you're saying with the sort of metastasising issue of illegal immigration and people gaming the immigration system. It's the same with the welfare system. It's gone so far now. Do you remember the story of like an Albanian gang or something who had just set up thousands upon thousands upon thousands of fake profiles of people and were just cashing in, going and getting their gyros every month and sending it back to build palaces in, you know, wherever they live?
Well, this is it, the fact that you can exploit the system. It's never us that understand the system either. I don't understand how to claim benefits. I wouldn't know I haven't got the foggiest idea
Never tried.
How to leverage, and I always consider it a good thing. Not because I consider it a bad thing to have to claim benefits, but because I've been well enough and able enough to work and stand on my own 2 feet. And that's what I was taught. You know, I didn't grow up around any wealth whatsoever. I was an adult before I saw any real wealth.
There used to be social stigma about not working.
Yeah, and you know, there was actually a crash at the end of the 80s, beginning of the 90s, which took my dad's, and he said old man then, I am from Pompey, my dad's business out. And I did see him on the dole for a couple of years. I did see what that meant for the family. But at no point did I think that was a good thing. There was nothing about that I was encouraged to do, or look how good this is, boy. You know, don't bother working, don't bother with school, go and do this or whatever. And the fact that people, foreign people now can take advantage of it as well is ridiculous. Look, I hear all the things you're saying with regards to reform and the fact that it's going to be difficult. And actually, I can't wait to see this 50-page. I'm really interested in it. First time I've actually been seriously interested in reading a document like this, because hopefully it will give us some answers. Because it's the first, it's probably the second biggest tent pole in the tent. After you solve illegal immigration, the next thing is welfare.
It's true.
And maybe after that, social care to some degree. But once you've solved the the illegal asylum issue, you're obviously going to fix some of the other issues just instantly anyway. But then there will be a big issue with regards to welfare, and you will have to make that bill a lot smaller. So I'll be very interested to see how they're going to do it. If we just say it's difficult.
Yeah, that's true. You can't just go, can't be done, never mind, let's stick with the status quo. Fully agree. All right, let us take a short break and then we'll come back and wrap things up and I will crawl back into my sick bed. That's after this.
the Talk app. You can watch, catch up and listen to all your favourite shows and podcasts anytime, anywhere, all on the Talk app. Watching and listening to Talk just got easier. There's now only one place for the home of common sense. So head over to your App Store or Google Play and search Talk now.
Across the UK, on DAB+, on YouTube, on your mobile, and on your side. This is Talk.
Hello, welcome back. As we were discussing very important topics like what people look like, someone's message going, Burnham looks like a Temu version of Kevin O'Sullivan.
Oh, that's unfair. That's unfair on Kev.
I always say Temu.
Kev's a much better looking man than Andy.
Then what is it though with those glasses? Because you know Starmer had them glasses, Kev's got those glasses, Ian Collins has got those glasses, Burnham's got those glasses.
This is why I've stayed round.
You stayed round, yeah.
I've stayed round purely because of that. Because you'd go into any sort of, you know, any retailer of glasses, and it is just a Burnham section.
Yeah, it's like men of a certain age. You've got to get those bins.
Yeah, and even the big designers have just have cashed in on it. It's ridiculous. I don't want to look like that.
Although there's certain styles of frames which you can never have again, like Jeffrey Dahmer ones. You can't.
No.
Do you know what I mean? They're over. They're done.
It makes it very suspicious straight away.
We've heard from Merv.
We have.
We have. He said, Merv here, that's so kind. I did message you 20 minutes ago with a point, but I'm not too bad. Good. Nice to hear from you. Hey, we've got another regular. It's Laura Jane in Hampshire. Hi there, Laura Jane. Laura Jane, hi.
Hi there. How are you? It's cloudy in Hampshire. The temperature's dropped. I think we might be getting some rain.
Do you know what? I drove through Hampshire this morning on my way here, and I saw a few specks. Whereabouts, roughly, not exactly, are you in Hampshire?
Oh, I don't mind. I'm in Stockbridge, between Winchester and Andover.
Oh, yes, you have told me that before. Yeah, so, slightly further away from there, down towards Liphook and Liss, I did see some rain this morning on my way up.
Wow, this is like cutting-edge news reporting here at Talk today. Like, wow, no wonder people tune in their droves to get the latest headlines.
Better weather. So I'm sorry to ruin the end of the programme, both of you. I feel that unless we get rid of the Labour government, we are in for a bumpy ride because they do not want to solve the migrant crisis. It is not on their agenda. And we can all sit here and say, if they do that and if they do this, etc., etc., that is not their plan. They do want, I'm sorry, I sound like a conspiracy theorist, sorry. But I think that they do want to cause division in our local communities. They do, because it's part of their plan to create a universal society in terms of, and I mean, I could go on for ages, but obviously the time is limited. But I feel very strongly that unless things dramatically change, and believe you me, I'm praying every Sunday on Mass in the morning for a miracle, but it is unlikely that the plan is going to change because that is part of the...
And this is the thing. All of our enemies, whether they come in the form of international criminal cartels making money from people trafficking, terrorist organisations or hostile governments using mass migration as grey zone warfare, they'd have looked at what has gone on in Great Britain. They would have seen what did temporarily work in Ceuta down in Spain, where there was a sort of plan to en masse drive loads of people over the borders into that Spanish enclave from Morocco. And they will think, hello, maybe we could try that with the United Kingdom. And one day, it won't be a couple of boats coming over the channel, mega dinghies. It will be about 50 all at once, because they will look at it and go, we know we can get away with this. We know we can actually massively disrupt the entire English Channel, flood the beaches with all these men of fighting age, overwhelm Britain and create a massive crisis.
Yeah, and I'm sorry, but people do not see it coming. They keep making excuses and they keep saying how it can be solved. It can only be solved one way, and that is to get rid of the Labour government and to have, well, and actually the Conservative, I really don't trust them anymore. As you know, Alex, I'm a Reform voter. I was in Clacton with all my dogs on the Tuesday before. I couldn't go to the rave because we couldn't have dogs. Because
the rave? Farage Fest has now become a rave. I feel really sad that I didn't go to Farage Fest.
Clactonbury.
Clactonbury, yeah. I'm like, now I know it's a rave. I want to know what went down there.
I met Farage in the pub after there was we sort of changed canvassing area, and we went to the pub, me and my dogs and my friend, and he could not have been in a better mood. So all this nonsense about him being down, I mean, he was so, he was very interested in, my goddaughter used to work for the Brexit Party, so he was just very welcoming. One of his team.
Who is your goddaughter?
Clemmy Underwood.
Oh, I might know her if I thought about that. But no, it's interesting. I have this vision now that after hours, when the lights of the Ferris wheel went out, Nigel re-emerged on stage with like one of those heat-reactive thermal T-shirts, some glow sticks,
Alex, it was right that he didn't go to the count. It would have been an absolute, farce because of all the people that were there. And I do think his security people were right. It's farcical what was going on. Yeah. And why make the whole thing even more farcical?
I agree.
And why have a picture of him in amongst that lot so they can use that
and all that
to their own end?
Oh, I agree. I think he made the right decision. But there you go. He's not allowed to make the right decision when it comes to his critics, because that's politics. Laura Jane, thank you ever so much. Really good to catch up with you again. We got 1 minute to go until I get to